everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Brad's got us on tape, man. We were like huge up there.
Change it back to this.
You're larger than life.
Big head.
I'm large, but I look like a bobblehead on here.
It makes my screen this big.
Get it? A bobblehead.
Bobblehead.
Or, you know, if I were a drug dealer, I could be Pablo Escobar.
Oh, dear. Hey, Walker Bee Ranch is live. I'm going to see you later, and I'm going to go watch
You gonna go catch me over there?
Yeah.
I heard of Bob. Hey, how's it going? Man, we got a pretty good show up here.
It looks really good. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for spending your Tuesday night with us, or at least this much of it.
Well, you'll probably enjoy spending your Tuesday night with Brad. I'm kind of a cranky, not feeling good, been up all night.
Yeah, sorry, Bob's not feeling very good, so I really appreciate him coming in and spending some time with us.
Well, there's Ian.
Hey, there's the boss. Hey, boss.
But
thanks for tuning in.
So you know what? It went from, hey, we got to get all this honey off to crap, it's October 15th.
Yeah.
I mean, this year now seems like it's just flying by.
It's done. Yeah, the last 6 weeks has just gone by like that for me. I know I've spent most of it complaining about how much work there is to do. There's still plenty of work to do, but it's every day, you know. I went out on Monday and I moved my bees home, and I got home and I said to my wife, I says, you know what, every little job like that just takes that much weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I just feel the lightening of the stress every time. I went out and did this today, so you know I got around to that end. So that's another little thing, just lifted the weight off my shoulders. So
it just frees up more time for more activities tomorrow.
More stuff tomorrow. Yeah. Well, I'm still melting some wax, and we're cleaning up the honey house and washing pails, and on and on and on.
There's Ian said exactly.
Exactly. So how are you making out, boss? What's going? I think Ian was spending a lot of time on a tractor.
From New York City, Alex. Hey, Alex. Good to see you. I said Alex. It's Alec. Yeah, doing good. You know, guys, the job. I mean, it's just one of those things, right? Where you take on a new job, you got a new schedule, new time.
Yeah.
Your body's got to adjust, and then you got to still do your regular stuff. And you know, one day I'll be like Doug Longman and be able to just chill out and get on live streams every day.
I don't think I'll ever get there.
Be old and turn gray.
Already did. Already did both of those.
What's not turning gray is turning loose, unfortunately. You see, now we can procrastinate on something
else.
We
can procrastinate on something else.
That's true.
I got lots of things here.
There's plenty of stuff to do, just nothing I feel like doing. Getting out and cleaning up the apiary. I'm afraid to go out there and clean my apiary, like the hive stands, because then I'll honestly know how many colonies have made it and how many have already died. And I know I have a few of those because I went out the other day and did some inspections and put some tablets on and stuff like that. But it, had a few that were gone. So it was like, well, got to come to that realization of how many I'm going to have left and have to rebuild next year again. Every year is a rebuilding year.
Sorry to hear that, buddy.
So, hey, Big Mike.
Hey, how's everybody?
Good.
So, Doug, Ian's
we're wrapping this weekend. Ian's asking if we're wrapped up yet. Not yet. This weekend.
And Brad, have you decided how many you're leaving out and how many you're bringing in?
Well, that was decided a long time ago. I don't have a number for you. It's somewhere around a little bit north of 35 or so. I just put all those dead out boxes full of feed on top of however many I had, and that's what I did. So hopefully that wasn't such a stupid move, and they move into their new digs. I forget exactly when I did that. It was early August, I think. So hopefully they adjusted to that.
70-pound sugar brick on top of them.
Oh yeah, lots and lots of feed.
So
although the couple that I dug down into didn't seem to have really a hole that, not plugged out in the bottom by any means. I can't remember running doubles. Do they plug out the bottom box as well when you feed them heavy?
Yeah, they're usually full.
Yeah, well, those aren't. They look pretty normal in the bottom box.
Long as the top is full.
They winter very well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see in the spring if they do or not.
We're both hosting, Tom. We're on both channels tonight.
Yeah. So, but my 10 Appy tablet only hives are in the doubles set, so they'll all be wintered outdoors as well. So we'll see. We'll see how.
You should have put half of those in and half of them out.
Well, I didn't want to do too many, so
because now you can't tell if the winter killed them outside, or if
winter's going to kill them inside too. But it's not comparing indoors outdoors. It's comparing Appy tablet to not Appy tablet only. So I'll have a certain number. My cat fell asleep on the back of the chair and fell off. I think she's okay. She didn't move for the longest time. I thought, yeah, you fell down. Sorry. Yeah, so we'll compare the two sets. She just went down like a little sack of potatoes.
Norm dropped you a super chat there.
Hey, thanks, Norm. Appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. I like taking you guys along to the bee yard with me. Got somebody to talk to.
I just talked to myself.
How often are you gonna away your hives?
Well, I'd like to do 4 rounds.
That should knock those mites down.
Yeah, especially broodless. Mostly broodless right now. It should really decimate them. I know it will. I have very good success with away this time of year. Right. So this is the one who just fell on off the chair.
You need to mail me one of those vaporizers right there.
Yeah, this
early Christmas present.
That thing is a game changer. Boy, is it ever fast. If you put 2 grams in that, I was doing 4 grams today. It takes longer, of course, but I was doing the 6s with 2 grams, and I couldn't even step away from it, and it was done.
Mike didn't want his identity to be known, so
yeah, he's like on America's Most Wanted or something.
My big light burned out, so I got this little light, and I just can't figure out where to put it.
Does your setup change when you enter outdoors? Oh yeah, it changes. Do you add inner cover with top entrance? Yes. I'll have a small top entrance, maybe like 1 inch wide and 1/2 inch high or something like that. I'm going to detail that on my channel, what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do pretty much what I did my first year. And I know it's not what a lot of people do, but I had 0 loss my first year, and they were all outdoors. So this is the recipe I'm going to stick with for now.
I've got a philosophy on that first year over, living. I think it's because it's all brand new, fresh equipment.
Yeah.
There's no pesticides. There's no residuals of anything. It's all brand new wax.
Hey, Joey.
What did you get arrested, man? You calling us from county lockup? Looks like looks like you're in a gray room with a gray shirt, gray jumpsuit on, Joey.
That's the RV.
He must not be able to hear me because he's not laughing or being mad.
I had to
It's
get
me
some
again,
speakers
Joey.
turned off here.
I said
Can
it
y'all
looked
hear
like
me
you're
now?
calling us from lockup. Looks like you got a jumpsuit on in
Yeah.
a gray room with them.
Yeah,
Joey
we're
got
at
in
the
trouble
fairground.
to the. Oh, you're at the fairgrounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got our
got
fair
us
going on
packed
right
in here
now.
like sardines.
You selling honey at the fairgrounds? Or are you just there going to the fair?
No, I'm not selling any honey, just hanging around at the fair. I used to bring about 10 or 12 bottles and would donate it to the fair association, and they would give it away. They do drawings and everything, and they got where they one drawing where they do like multiple small gifts, and they used to do that all the time, and they would announce Raw's apiaries when a new guy took over. They never announced who donated the honey, so I quit giving it to them.
He just doesn't understand the process.
No. I can't hear my name. I'm not going to give you my honey.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about.
Fred, did you have the link posted?
I haven't put the link.
So you sent links to everybody that's in here?
I sent a few links to some people that I happen to have on chat. Let me put this in here.
Because I'm gonna.
Some of us must be special, then.
Alex says he feels abandoned.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't trying to exclude anybody. It just got away on me. So there you go.
No, I did. I pinned it on my channel too. So
okay. Thanks.
That way, nobody's missing out.
Yeah. We don't want to exclude anybody. Well, there's that one guy, but
there's that one guy.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to make a standalone video about this, but certainly vlog. You'll see this is a topic of the day for me. This little instant vap. Boy, oh boy, I've fallen in love with that thing in a big hurry.
Now, what amp hour battery are you using with that?
Well, I have a selection. I have a 9. I have 3 5s. I have a 3. I have a 2. I have a couple 1.5s.
In other words, you're not running out of juice anytime.
Well, it does take me a while to use those up, but I couldn't do all my bees just on that many batteries. I had my charger hooked up to. I actually took my inverter out, connected it to the battery on my electric fence, and then plugged my battery charger into the inverter so I could charge my batteries. But that only works so well because I can drain those batteries a heck of a lot faster than I can charge them.
Right.
Like I drained a 5 amp, and then I put that one on to charge, and then I put in the 9 amp in the unit to use, and I drained the 9, and I think I drained both the 5s. Like I have 3 5s, so I drained
before they could charge back up.
Before the first 5 was charged. So I'm surprised that it actually runs as long as it does on those batteries. However, it kind of speaks to how fast this thing is. It's got a good name, Instant Vap. Like I say, if you're using 2 grams, it's like 30 seconds or something. It's stupid fast. 4 grams, definitely a lot longer, like more than twice as long, but it's not long. And I like the fact that it's just got this little red LED. It doesn't have a display about the temperature and stuff. That's not really much interest to me. That light flashes and tells me what it's doing, and the one thing that I was really pleased with is that the LED is bright enough to see in full sun. I was kind of worried about that, if I'd have to keep, shading it to see what the light's doing, but no, you can see that easy in full sun. My only complaint about the light, and it's not really complaint, is it's kind of on the back here. Corey disappear? And sometimes I have to kind of walk around this way or that way to kind of see it. If the light were kind of on the top of the case here, it would be far easier to spot it at many different angles than have to kind of walk around it, because this handle part here can obscure it from the back. If you're viewing from this side, this handle here can obscure it from the top angle, so you might have to move here or there to see it. But if that LED was right here on the top of the case, it would be far easier to just kind of glance at the unit and see that light without having to actually walk over here or walk over there to see it. I mean, I don't have a lot of complaints about that unit. It's really a nice unit. The build quality is spectacular.
Brad, do you have the silicone cup that goes around the tube?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't buy that. I made some out of some Roxol, and it works much better with that on.
Do you mean the part that goes around the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes right down to the top. It goes over the tube and sits down there.
So what is that supposed to keep it warm or something?
It keeps it warmer, so you actually get more uses out of each battery.
Okay. Yeah.
How many grams can you get in the magazine on it?
4.
4 load?
The top measurement is 4.
You can go past 4 a little bit on at least the ones I got. But.
Yeah, I didn't really try. I was kind of aiming for 4, so I stopped there.
We're doing 6 in our doubles.
Is that right? Yeah, they burn through batteries, and that's my only concern. Like, these batteries only charge and discharge so many times. That is a big expense. These batteries are very expensive. But I think this unit is going to help me actually pick it up and go and treat my bees more often. That's the whole idea, right?
It's like the Tesla. It's like the Tesla of oxalic acid vaporizers.
Well, I hope it doesn't burst into flames.
Next, you have to be putting a recharge port out at your apiary so you could plug it in.
Put an EV charger in my
apiary. Put a diesel generator out there so you could plug in the battery chargers for the.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be hauling my generator out to plug my battery chargers in. It ran off of that battery, the Fencer battery, the whole time, and didn't really. It lowered the voltage on that battery, maybe 1 volt, maybe 1.5 volts the whole time.
And you're using the Milwaukee batteries?
Milwaukee, yeah.
Is there much vapor coming out after the light tells you done?
Sometimes, but not usually. Not usually. I got it, Bob. I guess it kind of depends on how quick I am to grab it when the light stops flashing, but not a lot, if any.
I just can't bring myself to buy another vaporizer because I spent $500 on my ProVap when I bought it.
Well, you know what?
And it works. So
if my old ProVap didn't leak the way it does, and I don't complain about the ProVap, it lasted me for years. It paid for itself many times over. I have no complaints about it at all. But if it didn't leak, I'd still be using it. I'd still be using that. Hey, Corey, thanks for coming in.
Hey guys, how's everybody tonight?
We're making it.
If it's going to affect those batteries at all, Brad. My son works in the potash mine, and they have lots of them catch fire with the salt in there with the batteries, eh?
Yeah. Well, I wondered about that too. You know, I see the thing running there, and there's, especially the way I do it, I don't really close the entrance off. There's a lot of vapor come out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it really will get into contact the contacts on the battery, but who knows?
Did you get an extra plunger with yours?
No, I got one.
Yeah. I ended up, well, I have 2 of them, so, and I have 4 plunges, and you can fly.
Yeah, yeah.
When you were doing the, like, even up to like 3 grams, it flies through it. So if you wanted to do 6, you just do it twice without even pulling the machine.
Well, that's what I was wondering, you know, if I had another plunger, I could have one loaded and just pull it out of one, stick it in the other, pop. You know, there's only going to be 15 seconds of downtime between treatments.
I carry a can of it, and I have all 4 of them stuck in there adjusted, and I put them on 4 hives, and then I put my can on the next hive I'm going to be going to. And as soon as I get one done, I head to the next one.
Mike, when you push the plunger down into the OA, does it fill up and you can draw it up and then it's caked inside there?
Sometimes it's when you get a fresh batch, it's kind of granularly. Put a little water in it. Mist it with water, and one, like I just got a new big bag of it, and it wouldn't stay in there, and I put like a cap from a gallon jug in there, and then just put the cover on it, shook it.
That's what I assumed, because I opened a new container and it wasn't staying in there at all. I just tipped it and pushed it in sideways and made sure there
just
was
put a little bit of moisture in it, or
like I say, that's all I was doing. So I assumed that it was because it was fresh and it was not, because I think it's like sugar; it just absorbs atmospheric moisture. So I think over time, if I use my older container, then it's probably going to cake in there better.
Yeah,
it's not an issue at all.
On a humid day, just leave the cover off it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I saw people doing that. Just push it in and then it cakes in the plunger and comes right out. So that would be a little nicer. I didn't find it to really be an issue. Once I saw what was going on, it wasn't a problem at all. Like I say, I just tipped it sideways and pushed it in and then it's full, right? Not a problem.
And they're easy.
Hey, Big Mike.
They're easy to adjust. How's it going?
Mike Berry said tell you hello.
Oh, Mike Berry? Yeah, he
said tell you hello.
You guys all going to the expo this year?
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you down there.
The element on my ProVap 110 blew on me on my last yard yesterday. Go figure.
No.
Yeah. How long did it last you, Corey?
That one probably 2 years. But that's doing 250 colonies, basically 6-7 times throughout the year. So do the math, it'd be about 1,600 treatments.
Well, if you want to drop over, I got a ProVap here. The bowl leaks, but the heater still works.
Maybe we can make an arrangement.
Yeah. Those band heaters not hard to find.
Oh, they're not?
No, they're not hard to find at all. They're used in extruder machines to heat the pipe or the tube where whatever you're extruding comes out through that.
Okay.
I think you can buy them on Amazon.
Yeah, I think they're like $20, $30, $40 or something.
I'll look it up because I always like having an extra one on hand just for these reasons.
Yep.
But see, now you got a good reason just to buy the cordless one.
I had, you know what? I had a buddy. Maybe I did know that this existed, but I forgot. He's got the instant VAP. He's got the big one, not the compact like this one. But it's runs off a car battery. It's got the alligator leads on it. So that would be a really good deal too.
Well,
little battery with a handle and just carry that around. And
God, I think the extension cord would be easier to carry a battery.
Well, it might. You know, and I saw your setup, Corey. You got a really nice setup there. It looks like a really nice little generator. But you know, if you're at the yard without power and you don't have a generator, you don't want to haul it around. My generator is huge, and you know, starting a generator often yours started really nice, but mine doesn't start nice.
Yeah.
So
I picked that up on sale. I think it's actually a discontinued model, but they have another version of it. Yeah. It's only 2,500 watt generator. It's just a small little thing, and
it's not tiny.
That's
a good size.
Well, you can carry it with one hand if you have to. You know, like it's not a heavy thing like a big 5,000 watt or anything.
Yeah, mine's a 6,500 watt generator. We're in my house.
Yeah, but just a little portable. It's enough to run it definitely runs the 2 guns, no problem at all.
Yeah.
You know, a couple light bulbs.
I definitely was watching for one of those to buy like a 2,000 watt generator sort of thing for running the plug-in vaporizers. But now I got this battery thing. It seems to be working really well. It's, you know, I guess you talk about the downsides, and you got to always look at the downsides of things. You talk about hauling a generator around, getting gas, maintenance there, cords, you know, downsides, because the upsides are these things just work, right? Barring a burnt out heater, which that happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, the downside, I guess the downsides of this instant VAP is just changing the batteries out as I go. Right. Yeah. I didn't want to go with really big batteries. They're really expensive. And I thought, you know, if I went with I bought a couple of 5 amps. I had a 5 amp. I bought 2 more 5 amps. So I got 3 now. And I thought, well, I'll use up a 5 amp and then I'll stick it on the charger and then I'll use up another one. And, you know, it won't take as long to charge a 5 amp while I'm continuing to work. If I have a 12 amp, I have to use the 12 amp. Well, I don't have to, but I would use the whole 12 amp before I would charge it. And it takes a lot longer to charge a 12 than a 5. And I'm just thinking, well, I'll just get, you know, the smaller batteries and just cycle them a little bit more as I work. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but.
Well, I just use the 9 amp that came with my air blower. And it does both apiary in one day if I have to.
So how many colonies then, Alex? 30?
Right now I have 32, I think.
So about 30 colonies, 9 amp. How many grams?
4.
4. Yeah. See, with 4 grams, I was getting about 2 colonies an amp. Right. So on a 5 amp battery, I'll get about 10 colonies. Does that make sense?
9
yeah.
9. So you're getting more than that though, Alex, aren't you? Because that would be 18 on a 9.
Well, the way somebody explained it once in a video I saw, it's 10 amps to charge. 1 amp to charge it. Whoa, echo. 1 amp to charge it, and then 10 treatments per amp. So I'm technically putting 80
per amp, sure.
on battery.
We use an old generator with a Suzuki motor. That thing starts first pull every time.
Well,
we run 2 units off of it. Nathan will start at one end, I'll start at the other, we'll meet in the middle. and travel time and stuff, we can do 5 to 6 yards a day.
Wow.
You know
I
what?
thought I was doing good to do my 1 yard today.
Yeah.
Well, there's 140 colonies out there too, so.
Here's something to think about.
If I had them in the backyard, I'd do the same as you're doing there right now, Brad.
You know, we just had this big storm come through Florida. I wonder how that's going to affect like the apiaries down there and the queen breeding and the nuke making in for next year, right?
Yeah.
Has anyone heard anything about that? I mean, I think it's pretty hush hush, but I know there was so much damage that you would think there had to be some apiary damage down there.
I would think so.
I was happy to see the Bob Binney video come out finally after a couple of weeks that he's doing okay. Right. And I guess Greg Rogers is doing okay to what he was speaking of. But I don't know, is Chris Webber, is he online? Does he do YouTube videos?
I don't know.
That big queen breeder out there, I'm wondering if he does anything. I've never seen anything.
What about you, Bob? Were you affected by the storms?
I mean, we had trees down and flooding, and my water meter's buried under sand that washed out of my driveway. So I have to find out where that's at. But other than that, everything is all right as far as the bees.
What about Lee?
What's that? I don't know. I haven't talked to Lee lately.
Lately?
Oh, yeah, I haven't talked to him in
hopefully not lately.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tom's probably talked to him since I've talked to him because they do the Thursday night stream.
Yeah, well, Lee just got back in town late last night. I called him today and was chatting with him for a little bit. I guess he was kind of resting up. He might have some interesting stories to tell whenever he gets back about his climbing experience. So I don't want to share those. I'll let him do that.
I know he's probably sore. I know that much.
Yeah. I think that's probably a safe bet.
But yeah, I didn't have any issues, but I just know that a lot of those South Georgia queen breeders and, and Florida, all the nuke producers and everything they have down there, just figuring that it might have had some effect on them.
Oh, and by the way, I was in the U.S. for the first time in 19 years this Saturday.
You went to the U.S. Where'd you go?
Yeah, we went to a semi-precious gem mine. This is I don't remember the name of the mineral. I got some. It's an open mine, open to the public. One of my friends really likes minerals, so he invited me. So I had my passport rushed and road trip all the way to Maine and back in one day.
To Maine?
14 hours. Yeah.
Should have just kept on coming down.
That was a bit far.
Yeah, you're almost to South Carolina.
Yeah, you're almost another 14 hours you'd been here.
Yeah, should have swung by Texas.
By Texas. Just made a trip of it.
It was fun.
You would have had...
I didn't get lucky. Like some of the gems I found are really small. That's
oh yeah.
That's a blue tourmaline. It doesn't really show it because it's so freaking tiny.
Do you polish gems or tumble them or anything?
Oh, it's something I'd love to try, like gem faceting, but it makes such a mess, and I don't have a freaking workshop. When I made the one, I sent you the image of Brad, like the mess of black walnut wood chips was pretty horrible, and I was on my balcony. But yeah, woodworking is fun. Gem faceting seems interesting. Blacksmithing too.
Well, you could. I don't know about. Gems might be hard or something, but tumbling rocks, that's kind of fun. That you can really polish them up and do some nice stuff. A little rock tumbler.
Yeah. Well, like for example, that's one I purchased. I did, like I said, I didn't get lucky, but on this really nice amethyst.
Yep.
And it's got a green layer. as well as the purple. Both colors I love, so I couldn't resist buying it.
See, now we know what he spent all that honey money on.
Yeah.
When he bought
I
gems.
spent it on repairing my car.
Did you finally get it fixed?
Yeah, it's fixed.
Did you ever finish your bee? Brian wants
Oh
to know.
no, I had, like I said, I had limited time and will to do it, and I focused on making. I could show a photo. I made this for my youngest brother's birthday. I sent an image of it to Brad. Let me see if I can share it. That's what I decided to make this year. Let's see, open. Let's see the nicest one. Present. Share screen. Allow. I made that for my youngest brother's birthday because the guy can pretty much purchase anything he wants. He's the head of security, cybersecurity for a big company. So what do you buy of a guy that can buy anything? Pretty much nothing. So I made him something.
Making a magic one.
Yep, because he's a computer wizard.
Or a miniature lightsaber.
Yeah, it's kind of both. And the crystal is inspired by the Matrix, like green field on green text. And the Japanese kanji says crafted with love for my brother. At least that's what Google Translate says.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's one of my best work, I think. But yeah, unfortunately, I did not finish the bee. I only have limited time, and I got to work on my balcony. So if I had a workshop, I'd be able to work during winter, this kind of stuff. Other than that, well, not much honey sales. Like I said, I sold, you probably know, like the 10 buckets I sold. Corey, I did try to reach what they're called, Stanabay.
Yeah.
And they were offering $1.50 a pound, and they told me to come back for my buckets. So,
yeah, I'd hang on to it a little bit longer. You know, you're not making any money on that. You know.
No, the apiary that wasn't producing enough up north was like I got $4.23 a pound, and he might buy more. I don't. Oh, and for the first time this year, I have 3 kinds of honeys. Like there's the typical basswood, and I think the way it worked is once the queen got established in both deeps, I shook them down and put an excluder, so they eventually filled it with honey, and I think that was spring and early summer honey, because the taste is completely different than the last 3 supers that have a typical basswood taste, like slightly minty. So I separated everything, like the honey from the strawberries, the early spring honey, and the late the summer basswood honey. So I might be able to get something extra out of this, I hope.
Well, it sounds like you have a couple of different premium tastes there.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know what the spring honey is, though. I never tasted that before.
Well, did you take it off before the clover hit? Before the clover?
I harvested it all at once. So I harvested it like in late summer.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you could have a mixture of a little bit of everything then.
I don't know. The basswood is still has the pretty distinct taste.
Well, you got that mint taste for the basswood. Yeah, it kind of has for the basswood. For at least my basswood, you got like a little bit of a mint taste to it.
Yeah, mine too. But it's only in the last 3 supers. The bottom super, the deep one,
yeah,
has a completely different taste I never had before.
Well, yeah, without looking at it, I'm not very good with all my different things. Like I don't even put supers on basically until June, so I don't really worry too much about the apple blossoms or the various fruit trees or anything like that, or the dandelion. I let the bees have that for themselves.
It could be squash honey. It's possible.
Really?
The guy cultivates spaghetti squash.
Okay.
So it could be squash honey. And I got to answer. I got a question asked by DCs about the gem.
When are you wrapping, Brad?
I don't know. This is my first year outdoors in a long time. Probably not till first week in November, maybe the last week of October, depending on when workload allows me to get my act together. I've got a bunch of polystyrene. I'm gonna try and make some little coffins for the hives.
Coffins. So
it's going to take a bit of
it's not
of work.
A good way to.
Yeah, exactly.
Phrase it.
Are you going to run a piece of? Are you going to run a piece of foam on top?
Yeah, I'm planning to make a quilt box for the top with some wood chips in it. It'll have 2 inches of polystyrene on the very top of the quilt box, right under the cover.
Okay.
We'll be wrapping this weekend. Putting it to bed till next April.
Whenever you're done managing, that's when you wrap, right?
Yeah.
Really, this round of treatment that I'm doing, that's it for management. So, I don't want to wrap before I'm done treating. I suppose I could. It wouldn't work so well. If I put polystyrene on these boxes, then I wouldn't be able to get my vaporizer kind of in the entrance very well.
Well, my styrofoam yard, I made it so I can use vapor on them every month of the year if I need to. If you can get into them for snow.
Yeah. Are you liking those styrofoam boxes still?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah.
We got a lot of singles this year, so we'll see what they do too.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about those. Just something to save me work. What's that, Corey?
I got a bunch of bee cozies still in the box I've never ever used for the single. I kept them just in case whenever I take the bees out, I would throw the singles on like the smaller colonies, I would throw a bee cozy on. But
sure.
But because I have a staging yard right behind the house, pretty much what I've been doing instead is taking them all back. If it does get cold for 3 or 4 days, I bring them all back and I put them back in the shed. So I probably could get rid of those before the mice find their ways in, I suppose.
Yeah. When I wintered outdoors last time, I used bee cozies as insulation. So I know that the hive doesn't need a crazy amount of insulation around it, right?
Yeah.
Bee cozies only are 8. So I think polystyrene is 5 per inch, if I remember correctly. So if you had an 1.5 inches of polystyrene, you should have enough. 2 inches would be lots.
Yeah, I think the windbreak is the most important thing of all.
I agree, and get them covered in snow if you can. Like Doug was saying, lots of snow in the yard. That's what you want. Yeah. You get that much snow to get them covered up, Corey?
Well, I got all mine on stands back at the time. So no, not really. I'll leave it pile up on top of the hives. Like whenever we get a storm, you'll see they're well insulated enough that you'd see 12 inches of snow sitting on the top. But because I'm 16 inches off the ground, it takes almost 2 feet of snow, before you're halfway up just to bury the bottom entrance,
So you don't find that stand. I watch your videos and I think, boy, those are up a long way. You don't find that stand too high, eh?
No, I don't, because if I am short on something, I should show you the video of it. Like that hive lifter that I got, I knocked out those safety pins there, so I actually made it a walk behind forklift, so I can basically go 12 feet in the air with that hive lifter that I got, which is similar to what you have. Dangerous as hell, but you know,
12 feet.
You know, I don't recommend it. Let's put it that way. Not with 3 boxes anyway, but
no.
But no, I'll carry a stool in the truck. So if I am 4 or 5 high, supers high, I'll just stand on a stool, and I tend to hand bomb most of the boxes more so than I even use the hive lifter.
I see. Because even my little stands are only, they're made with a 2x6 on edge, and I find that they're challenging for me with my hive lifter because, I don't want to lift too many boxes but I can't lift high enough to lift fewer boxes, so I end up lifting 3 deeps of honey off of there. Boy, that's a lot.
Yeah. So what I did was I took off the front and I put in a middle struts, and I took the seatbelt part of it off. I removed it and I got just cable, so I can go quite high with that hive lifter now. You need safety wheels on the back part of it so that it doesn't tilt over and land on your head. The only times I actually use the hive lifter is whenever I'm putting in bee escapes so that I can lift 4 or 5 boxes, the 4 boxes at a time, slip in the escape and go from there.
Yeah.
Any other time, I'm pretty much hand bombing them for now.
So the hive lifter that you have, you said it's a lot like mine.
It is exactly like yours, except for I modified it with a middle strut.
Yeah, before modification.
Yeah.
You find your lift arms to be a bit of a pain?
I did it first because those little handles, those knobs always came loose on me too.
Yeah.
So I just drilled holes and I put pins in instead now. Yeah, and it stays good now.
Mine tend to, because of the material, they tend to bend a lot, and the way the lift flappers are, they're flat, and they tend to they'll slip out like that out of the handles.
No, mine only did that if I hit the boxes, the hives unevenly. If I'm a little bit on an angle, well, then I'll have a little bit of trouble with those flappers. But I usually just I carry a little 16 by 24 piece of plywood, and I use that. I'll base it on, I put the bottom of the hive lifter.
So unevenly sideways, you mean?
Yeah. So I'll just
Brad,
straighten it out.
Yeah, Joey.
Somebody's over there chatting using my name and my picture, and it's not me.
Hey, Joey, it's actually me. I don't know why when I'm commenting, I'll stop doing it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, honestly.
That's okay.
Trouble, Tom.
Whenever
that's fine, then. If it's you, that's good.
No, I don't want to comment because I just was howling at Melissa to come up here. I'm like, what's going on here? When I comment from my laptop and I'm logged in through Brad's channel, but because so many people are like piggybacking it, for some reason, when I look at the bottom where I post a comment, it says comments will be posted to multiple channels. So when I just realized that 2 of the comments I made to Brian, one of them shows up under your name, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I was howling at Melissa. She doesn't want to get on the camera because she's a mess right now and still working downstairs. So
a lot of times when you're doing it in the chat box on the StreamYard, like I believe if I type hello, it'll look like Brad sent it, I think. Yeah, see, it says that B-man said hello, and then and then
it says Walker Bayride says hello.
Oh, that's weird.
I can see that now. Is it because you're a moderator for Brad, or sometimes?
No. Well, yeah, sort of. I set it up to stream to my channel and Bob's.
Okay.
When Joey came in, Joey set it up to stream to his channel. So that was a little different. So it's a linked channel, whereas the StreamYard stream that I set up, I specified at the beginning to stream it to both Bob's and mine. So Bob's channel is not a linked channel.
I got peer pressured into going live tonight.
That's right.
Hey, we're streaming on your channel, so you better be here.
I'm streaming on your channel, man. You could show up or not.
Well, Joey, you had made me a moderator for your channel. Is that right? Or for your StreamYard chat or something like that? Okay. Yeah. I don't know half of what that means, if I'm just being really honest with you. Okay. Or what I can even do there, but maybe you gave me too much leeway or something, because I'm messing up here.
If you're not going through StreamYard, Tom, it's probably not related.
Okay. Well, I'll just stick to commenting from my phone then, which is now I'm logged in on my phone through Brad's channel, and it won't go through that. I hope that'll minimize any confusion.
Well, I'm about to get off anyway. It's kind of noisy with people coming in and out here.
Well, but, I'll say that we're not getting any background noise, so that's nice, Joey.
Okay, well, I got the mic on here.
Yeah, we're not hearing anything.
Yeah, I had to come on. I had to come on the laptop, Tom, because whenever I logged in on the computer earlier, there was a lot of backbeat. So I just came on there. But unfortunately, on the laptop, I can't participate in the comments.
Oh, I see.
I don't see the comments or anything, so I can't participate.
You'll leave a link up there, and anybody will click it.
The hardest working man in the world just come in.
Hey, boss.
Canadians are taking over.
I thought I'd square out the conversation here. We're full.
Yeah, we need a night here.
I'm glad you did. My OCD was triggering with that one open space.
You just wait till the 10th person comes in, and it's going to mess everything up.
Well, God, I don't think I've ever seen you. I don't think I ever seen you, Ian, without your hat on and not wearing a suit and tie at the same time.
Charlie's going to mess up your key, Tom.
Oh, God. Somebody else log on here. It's messing up my mojo.
No, we're maxed out now. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
Uh-oh.
Charlie. So you got off the tractor, Ian?
Who left?
They let you off the tractor?
I just got back, and the house is empty. So I have my fire going. I'm all by myself. Feels kind of nice. It's quiet.
Awesome.
Look at that. Good signal. Nobody's streaming Netflix.
Yeah. No kidding. Eh?
No video games in the background.
No excuse to drop off, right?
All that's missing is the sound of silence in the background.
Yeah, just a crackle of fire.
That's funny.
I guess we'll see those videos start coming up pretty soon. The fireplace.
Yeah. I videoed one this morning, actually.
-7 last night here, so wow.
Yeah, pretty cold.
Yeah.
Wish I had a fire here.
Pretty cold.
Well, I could have a fire, but it wouldn't be the same thing because I don't have a fireplace.
We just started our 30 to 40 degree temperature swings. 40s in the night, 80s during the day, high 70s. So
it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty complain.
Cool. I was in a tractor all day, so I had heat. Carrie's out. She's in the bee yard. She's the one holding down the fort. I'm in the field. Carrie's in the bee yards, and she's picking pails off. And she actually got warm enough. She dug down into 2 yards to pull a strip. So she went through 80 colonies on that. So she had a pretty good day, actually.
Wow.
But it was cold.
Yeah. It was beautiful here. I worked at my OA all day, and what a gorgeous day.
Good day for that.
Perfect day.
Yeah.
Almost
cold
no flight.
wind here.
And a little breeze, but not bad. Just enough breeze to kind of keep the vapor going in one direction, you know.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was just perfect. Couldn't have been better.
Yeah. Good harvest weather. The combines are going, and I'm in the field, and we're getting lots done. Cattle are coming back. It's quite busy around here.
It's 71 here. I'm going to have to build a fire.
Build a fire. It's room temperature. It's room temperature. I had to put a hoodie on today.
My house isn't that warm.
We're supposed to actually get back up to the 70s again, or 21 degrees, 22 degrees Celsius early next week. So in a few days there, we're sort of start climbing again.
Yeah,
right now it's +4.
Yeah, it's +4 here as well.
Yeah, we're going to use the warm weather coming up just to pull strips. Easier to pull strips out of colonies when it's warm. It's more play. Well, I won't be. I'll be on the tractor. Carrie will have the
Honor.
fun job of doing it. I'll try to help her if I can get off the tractor.
Are you?
Yeah, you need a pair of pliers to get those strips out when it gets a little cooler.
Yeah. I'm not sure what she's using. Sometimes she just uses the hive tool hook. But we
Yeah,
have that pair of pliers too.
Yeah.
Okay. And the wafers too. We have the thymol wafers. Some of them are chewed out, but she was saying some aren't. So we're taking that out. We're scraping her clean.
Now, did you find those wafers did a better job for you this year, Ian? That was your main one that knocked them down?
Say that again, Corey. I missed you.
I said, do you find those wafers, was that the main treatment that actually knocked the mites down for you more so than the Apiary or even the tablets?
Well, I'm not sure about that. I'm going off guidance from beekeepers south of me, like some commercial guys in the States. And what they're telling me is to get better efficacy from the amatraz. What they would do is they put in thymol halfway through the treatment, so that the mites are kind of sick already. And if it isn't killing them, then they put a shot of thymol in there. Just they say it doesn't trigger hygienic behavior, but more like that janitorial behavior. They get stirring around and moving around and all over stuff, and they say that'll help kill your mites a lot better. So I'm thinking the two products together probably were the secret, where the amatraz in there, like the Apiary, I was testing only at 55% efficacy, but I put those wafers in a week. I dropped my counts from like 5 up to 10%. There wasn't many at 10%, but about that 5 to 6%, 7%, all the way down to shaking zeros, 0.5s, 0.2s. So I was quite happy with that. But I think it was a combination of the two treatments. Okay. A synergy.
Do you think it's the thymol that might be causing a little bit of that? Because the thymol has to be tracked through the colony, particularly through the brood, to have that efficacy. So you said it causes a bit of janitorial type behavior in there. Maybe they're causing the track through there, and then maybe it's a little bit of a synergistic type reaction. Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what the guys are telling me. Yep. Like I'm just going off the guidance from these other beekeepers. And boy, I'm going to throw my shaker in the garbage because I'm sick of shaking for mites. I was tracking at the beginning, and I'm shaking mites, getting freaked out. So I knew what my counts were all the way across. And then on the back end after the treatment, I'm shaking. Every time we get a chance for shaking, we're shaking zeros. It's almost like, we're doing something wrong. There's no mites in there all of a sudden. And that happened within a week of me putting that Apiary in. So it, is probably a combination of the two there. There's some kind of a synergy going on. Actually, Brad, Bob Binney's coming up to our convention. He's going to be talking about that, the synergies of treatments like that.
Oh, yeah, good.
The good and the bad. It's quite an interesting presentation. That's kind of where that was in the back of my mind. And this commercial beekeeper contacted me. He says, "Hey, your Apiary is not working very well. Put some thymol in there. See how that works." And I did the math, just some very simple math. And if I have 1,500 colonies, and let's say roughly 15,000 bees per colony, and I had a 5% mite load, so that's about 1.2 million mites that I dropped in a week with that thymol going in afterwards. That's crazy,
eh? Wow.
That's
success.
Hey,
question
that's
for
not
you.
Crazy. That's success.
Dead mite is a good thing. I've had a couple of people, unrelated people, suggest something to me recently after watching my video. They said, if you hate washing mites so bad, why don't you use your vaporizer and a sticky board? So the and you don't have to do a whole round of OA on your whole apiary, but you can do however many colonies you want to, sample, blast them with OA, put a sticky board in there and watch the drop, and that'll give you a count of some kind. I've never done that, and I know you use sticky boards. Have you kind of used it I know you do sticky boards and washes. So
Yeah.
tell me about your method there.
Yeah, I use the stickies basically to verify what I'm seeing in my washes. Not to count the infestation within the colony, but just to count the drop that the treatment's dropping for me. So when I was putting the Apivar in there, I wasn't getting a whole lot. And so I wanted to see if putting thymol worked. I actually used it on the Api tablet too. And I put the sticky under, not a lot, just, very random all the way through. I'd get my wash. So I'd do my calculation, how many mites I thought were in that colony. And then I put my sticky under, put the treatment, that thymol treatment in. And then I'd count my mites throughout that first week. I only had drop within the week. And my mite drop was pretty much what my wash was telling me was in there. So it's just more of a verification of, is my wash accurate, and is the drop, am I seeing that drop? So kind of more information is better, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of
well,
saying
thinking that might help me. I don't like killing bees, and I just hate the whole thing. It's just something about it. There's something about, if I can have somebody do it for me, I'm totally okay with that. But it's just something about doing that whole process that I absolutely hate doing.
But the wash is important because it tells you kind of your baseline where you are. Considering how much brood you have, like, was I talking to you, Bob, or was I talking to you, Brad, about this? That we need to do some kind of a calculation on the brood within the nest.
Well, that's what I suggested, that we should be able to have some kind of a multiplier to take. You have this, this percentage of mite infestation on the bees, and then you can count how much brood you have, and there should be a multiplier to then tell, what's really in there, and then you can then calculate perhaps over time, depending on the season. And I think Randy has a lot of these things online with his mite calculator. You should be able to tell where your mite numbers are going to go, because I don't think what I saw was really that unusual, because the sealed brood level was dropping pretty fast. So that was just introducing a whole new supply of mites into the cluster. And not only that, but the cluster is shrinking too, right? The number of live bees in that hive is shrinking, and the sealed brood is shrinking. So that's bringing that percentage of on bees up by 2 factors, right? So the fact that all of my washes increased by a certain margin, I don't think is that alarming, to be honest, because it wasn't increasing by orders of magnitude. It was increasing by a couple of points.
Yeah, you kept your counts down, but with your treatments is exactly what you did.
Yeah. I was I was kind of looking for some zeros or something, but I don't think that's realistic in that situation this time of year. But this OA, I have 100% confidence in OA this time of year. I've used it for years and years and years, and I've always had excellent knockdown. That stuff will eradicate the mites out of that hive when it's properly done.
Yeah, I track the vapor too with stickies just to see what's going on, and I don't find drop any longer than the day after. After that, it's pretty much just a knockdown, a complete knockdown.
Yeah, that's
what I find, anyways. It'll knock 100 mites down, but
it's about a 2-day thing, right? Yeah. And that's why I know Corey on his last video on Facebook, he was saying, 444. 4 grams, 4 days apart, 4 times.
Yeah.
And that covers that 12 days. So every cell that was sealed has emerged, right, in 12 days.
Yeah.
So that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to go that way. Well, I'm thinking I had a couple of mite bombs done on just on a couple of yards that were bad, but once I see that, I treat the whole apiary regardless. I do all 8 yards. I don't take chances.
Yeah.
So I am.
Are you using stickies too on your hives just to monitor the drop?
No, I don't. I have them in the shop. I never ever use them in. I do the washes. I don't want to say it gets easier with time being able to do the washes. I hate killing bees too, but it's just that necessary evil, and I just don't think about it because I think I might be killing 300 bees, but really I'm saving 15,000. By knowing what's
I know
going
all
on.
that, and it's not just the killing bees part.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. It's because, like I said, if I can have somebody else do it, I'll have them do it every week, right? But
if Ian shakes 300 bees for every one of his 1,500 colonies, he's killing 450,000 bees every mite shake.
There you go, Ian.
Yeah.
500,000 bees every shake.
Yeah. So I guess that's
can't
what.
Read that on my phone. What's that say?
So, Ian, do you plan on experimenting with a brood break on a few hives, then treat after the queen is released?
Yeah, so that's probably something else that played into my efficacy, because my colonies were pretty much going broodless, and that's something else that thymol helped with, is it kind of zapped the last bit of that nest. So I think that brood, like the ending of the brood nest during this treatment of mine, has probably helped with my mite counts also. And he's probably referring to a brood break because of the splits I made this spring are showing low mite count. I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about. No, I don't plan on incorporating a brood break just because we can't. I just don't know how to. We have such a tight season that if I take 3 weeks out or whatever for a brood break to apply a treatment like that, I just lose so much ground. I don't think
it's tough with such a compressed season. There's never a good time to go 3 weeks without brood, without laying.
I guess we could, but then I'll be sacrificing my splits, or I'll be sacrificing that first box of honey. So I'm not sure. I don't know how to go about it. I'm thinking about it though, because my early splits, my spring splits with the queen cell in there, as a brood break, that's the only difference. Those bees come from pretty much just took the top box off that colony, made a split with it, a queen cell. So everything was exactly the same except for that brood break, and they're counting very low mites. And it's evidence. Every single one of my split yards, they're very low mite counts. Every single one of my production yards is up around that 5, 6, 7% counts. Yeah,
I would think it'd be hard for any of us to do any kind of a culture treatment, even where if we were to have the drone frames and pull them out just before they hatch out or something like that, just because we need those drones and we need the brood to make queens. Like if you have any kind of a queen rearing program going on, like how do you do a culture treatment?
We got to fit everything into 60 to 90 days.
That formic treatment I did, it pretty much did give me a brood break, but that took a box of honey for me. Just that bit of a stagger like that, it set the colonies back that I lost. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's my bread and butter, right? So I got to figure out how to do something like that without these splits. That's fine, and we produced a lot of honey on them. But sometimes an old beekeeper told me, he said, July will make and break a beekeeper, because if you set your colonies up and you miss July, you don't always have August. So I had August this year with the honey flow, so I made a lot of money on those splits. But a lot of years we're dried up as August 5th. So I need that early flow. I need those boxes full. So I'm not sure how to do this unless I just tag it on the back end of the honey flow and do that brood break in August. But I'm so busy at that time of year, and I'm playing around. It's really dicey that time of year when that queen, the lack of pollen's coming in, and I shut her down. I might not get her going again because there's no pollen around here. So I got to have, what I'm trying to do that time of year is trying to extend that brood nest as far as I can. I don't want to interrupt that queen in that brood nest. So it's kind of a puzzle we have to put together, I think.
I wonder how long compared to ours Richard Knoll's season is, because he does brood breaks as is pretty much routine for mite control.
I think he has a summer dearth too. Maybe that would help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Ian.
It is.
Down here in the south, we have that dearth. Plus, our flow is a lot slower than y'all's up there. I would think it'd be hard to do brood breaks up there as hard as y'all's flow hits. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. We have a fantastic brood break, and that's all winter. That's when we should start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just need one in between, huh?
Just need one in the other season. Yeah, that's exactly it. I look at southern beekeepers, and when we start, we all think, oh, keeping bees in Manitoba cold weather kind of thing, that must be really hard. No, there's so many things that are so easy about it when it comes to your southern beekeepers that have brood all winter and all of these things in the summer dearth and whatnot. But I mean, there's challenges both ways, but it's not all gravy either way, right?
We have that
those Api tablet pups are ideal for treating in winter.
Sorry, Doug?
We have that compressed period, but then we also have weather to deal with too. Like this spring where we were, June was just about a write-off as far as beekeeping. So it's even shorter.
If we get kind of 3 weeks of kind of off weather at the wrong time, that 60 to 90 days really goes down the toilet pretty fast. Yeah. I just remember this spring, I remember it was cold because this spring it was so frustrating for me to stand in my kitchen and look out at the most beautiful dandelion crop I'd ever seen in my yard. It was just gorgeous. This dandelion was lush and yellow and beautiful. And the weather was, the whole time those dandelions bloomed, the weather was too cold for the bees to fly. They didn't take dandelions at all this year. And I had the most beautiful crop, but it was too cold to fly. It was so frustrating.
That happened to us for our fall. We usually have a really decent goldenrod crop here, and ever since the remnants of that hurricane that went through on August the 9th, it rained every other day, and I had to work really hard for a barrel of honey for a fall crop. I got nothing really. I would assume, Alex, you're in the same boat because you're only an hour and a half east of me. You couldn't have got too much.
Yeah, my crop was smaller this year than last year.
Yeah, we didn't get a fall harvest at all. Nothing. Whereas last year we had a super or goldenrod, so it's just the weather, like Doug suggested, the weather had everything to do with it.
Because just from my basswood apiary, last year I got 19 5-gallon buckets. This year it's slightly less than that. But the strawberry field apiary compensated, so I roughly have the same amount, about 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, the spring I'm very frustrated, like Brad was saying, on the fact of mating queens. We had how many queens Carrie had out there, like 500 or whatever, to mate through all that weather, and I was pessimistic, so I had her rear a whole bunch of new cells just to fix up all these failures I figured we were going to fall into. And the first round of queens we got into, I think I texted Brad, said, oh shit, we're 55% or something like that. And then after that, 80%, 95%, 80, 90 is up. Just spectacular queens. And these nests are some of the best colonies I think we've ever produced. And they mated in such terrible weather. I don't know how it happened, but they must have had little jetpacks on them. They're just beautiful queens.
I know a beekeeper not far from me. He's probably knows more about bees than anybody I've ever met, and he grafts in late April here, and I think his grafting take must be 1%, and his mating success must be 5% or something. But what he's doing is he's getting those cold weather drones and whatnot, right? He's year after year, he's getting those cold weather drones and queens and whatnot. And it's, he doesn't say, well, I'm going to, like when I say I'm going to graft, I say, well, I'm going to graft. I'm going to wait till June because I get really good take and really good mating success in July. And I think that's great. That's the way to do it. This guy's totally opposite mindset. It's like, get that cold weather genetic going, and he pushes through that year after year after year, and he's actually making a difference with his stock.
Wow. Well, don't tell Carrie that, because then she'll want to extend their season.
She'll be working at Christmas.
Yeah. Pull her off feeding bees in April to go and do a graft.
Yeah. Just think of it, eh? Boy, that's quite the thought. Yeah, that's quite the thought process.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's doing.
I'm blown away that those queens are actually are producing drones at that time of the year.
I've had it done. I actually had him in my apiary one day, and I've got a video on my channel where we have this little back and forth conversation in my yard. I did an OTS. I was doing a Formic Pro treatment one May, and it was like the 5th of May. And Buddy was over helping me, and we found this one colony that was queenless. It was a nice looking colony, good population and everything. So we thought, okay, let's OTS this one. Let's steal some open brood out of another colony and do some notching and stick it in here. So we did that. And that day, doing the Formic application, we were doing some other stuff. So we were looking in some of the colonies. In my whole apiary of, I think that year, I don't know, it might have been an apiary of about 60 colonies. We saw 2 drones that day. And you know what? We went back in 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks? We went back to that colony, laying queen. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, that it actually worked. They raised a queen. She mated.
Brad, y'all talking about drones. It just reminded me, it just hit me today. This morning, I saw one of my hives, the one in my backyard, pulling drone out.
Kicking them out.
Not kicking drones out. They're just pulling them out of the cell and throwing them out the door.
Pupa.
And that was this morning. We've been having a flow going, but this morning they were pulling those out of the cells, just throwing them out the front door.
No.
I went into a colony.
Season?
Probably so, because I went into a colony today. We've been had a flow going, and before I got it closed up, I almost had robins started, and I had to shut that little colony totally up to keep them from robbing. And they was trying to go around to every hive. You could see them fighting each other in the whole yard. It shut down just like overnight.
Wow.
When y'all got to talking about drones, it reminded me of that, and it just clicked. When I saw them pulling those drones out, it just clicked with me. That flow quit, and they pulled those drones out that quick.
Wow. I don't know if I've ever noticed that. Pulling drones out, pulling pupa
They sure
out.
did.
You'll probably see that starting this week, Brad, if you're giving 4 grams 4 days apart for 4 times. Because I see that. I see that in mine right now. It's like I think it was what Ian was suggesting, the hygienic behavior. They're cleaning them out right now. I'll see the pupa out on the front doorstep now too.
What is the earliest that you northern fellas generally see drones walking on the comb?
Early, mid-May.
Yeah, May here.
Early. Early May. I'll see them first, second week in May.
Actually walking on the comb.
Yeah.
It depends on if I feed them pollen patties or not, you know. In this
not a great number.
By feeding them, I'll see them early.
You know.
My Basswood apiary is right next to greenhouses where the farmer also raises flowers, decorative flowers, and it's a source of pollen for that apiary. So I see drones much earlier there than the strawberry field apiary, because the flower starts popping at like end of like March almost.
So it's very much a function of pollen supply, is what you're thinking, Alex.
At least it looks like that. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. because drones, I always feel, and that's why I call it my story frame, because I feel that drones, the production and the presence of drone brood really tells a little report card on how that colony is doing, what they're thinking. Like if they think they've got it really going on and they've got what they need and they've got excess, pollen, nectar, whatever it is, strength, population, nutrition, then they're going to raise drones. Weak colonies don't raise drones, thankfully, right? That's kind of how nature works. If you're not the strongest, then you don't procreate. So, I guess pollen, it definitely factors in there.
I would think so too, because like here, like we seem to be able to get a couple-week jump on you guys in the springtime. I'll have my bees out of the winter shed, but usually by the 20th of March, often enough, and that's whenever our maples and stuff are starting to come into bloom. So I think the natural surroundings, they're starting to get in. Like I'll feed them to dry pollen in the feeders, as well, but once the natural stuff comes in, they just leave that other stuff alone. And away we go. That's whenever I'll start seeing the nests really start to take off.
I wonder if they count the feed, because we do feed them in the spring. I don't feed mine a lot in the spring. I probably don't feed them as much as Ian feeds even. But I wonder if it's mostly pollen is what instigates them to raise drones rather than, because there's no nectar flow. There's no nectar flow here until dandelions. And they're raising drones a long time before dandelions. So it's not nectar flow that makes them do it. But they're definitely getting pollen. They get pollen, mid-April kind of thing.
We have a lot of poplar, and you'll hear they're just alive with bees when they're at their catkins.
Yeah, poplar and willows here. I think there's quite a few other trees that they get the pollen off of in April.
Ever had willow honey?
Willow honey?
Yeah.
Nope.
I guess it's too early to eat it all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even harvest any dandelion honey. They eat it all, which is fine. I'd rather them eat that than feed them.
I don't know. I always thought it was my understanding that whenever the drones start coming is whenever the nests are starting to get filled up, where they're getting to a point where they're really starting to think of swarming. Isn't that usually whenever the drones come into play?
Well, yeah. I hear this comment that, I see drones I see drone brood in my hive, so my bees are going to swarm. No, drones don't cause your bees to swarm. Just like queen cells don't cause your bees to swarm, right? Yeah. Bees who want to swarm are going to make queen cells, right? It's not a cause and effect thing here. It's a process. And I think the things that will lead to a colony swarming are the same things that will lead to a colony producing a lot of drones, right? That's kind of my take on it. It's not a cause and effect. It's not, there's drones present, therefore it's going to cause swarming. It's the things that cause swarming also cause,
Yeah. It's just a warning shot to get ready.
It's an indication of what's going on. And that's what I say, that if you see a colony laying up drones, the colony's doing good. Like because drones are an expense to a colony. They're, they take a lot of energy. They take a lot out of a colony. So you've got to have excess. You've got to be feeling good about the future. You've got to know that you've got your place well set. And so that's just part of that process. Ian, did you get to try out UBO this year?
Yep. Yeah, we did. We had 3 yards or 4 yards. We took some select breeders and we tried it out. And I have analyzed the results yet. I haven't had a chance to do that because we've been so busy. But it worked. We did identify some higher test colonies, and we kind of verified that to some of the VSH queens we had brought up. So the UBO seemed to identify the VSH a little bit more. My own stock, hardly any, what do you call it? Any, it hardly showed any effectiveness. But on the stock like the Randy Oliver or even some of the BC stock I brought in, it did show some of the VSH tendencies. So I think that's positive. I hear a lot of people talk about UBO sending false positives. So I think there's a lot of things we need to figure out about the conditions around when we do the tests and such. But yeah, we're quite excited. I'm going to be doing more of it next year.
I think
Brad, I'm gonna jump off, or somebody else can come in if they want to.
Hey, Joey, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Have fun.
I'm gonna keep listening for a little while.
Awesome.
I think that Kara Wagner may have done a little tweaking on that UBO test slightly, because they had recently, I think I just got an email or some type of a notification here recently that they are going to be coming to Nabi, and they've got some newer formula or something. So I don't know if that was just marketing or if that was genuinely there was a change in their product. So it'll be interesting to see.
A work in progress is what it is. Yeah, it's cutting edge science. So there's people criticizing some of the false positives, and I'm like, no, this is something. This is we're just testing the waters on the smells and how the bees kind of react and behave to some of these smells, and it's we're testing new ground here, so we need to work with it, and she's asking for the feedback, and I think she's improving the product as we go, and I think it's quite exciting. Our technical program in Manitoba, we're trying to get together a queen breeders group, and we're trying to get people together to share experiences with this product, just to help provide some of the feedback she's looking for. So we're just too busy yet. So I think as the winter comes, we're going to get together and convene and just talk about it a little bit and share some of our experiences.
Yeah. Now, some of you guys that have been doing this for quite some time, do you guys feel like that more of these conversations that are happening, not just amongst you all in the North, but between Canada and the U.S., the beekeepers alike, are being a little more forthcoming with information, as not trying to hoard, information for their own profit, but maybe being a little bit more sharing with that information, trying to really better the testing or the products that we have. Are you guys noticing that, or is that something that maybe it's just something I feel like I'm noticing, but not necessarily true?
I'd say social media has a lot to do with it. Here we are talking about bees, and I'd be reading a magazine if it wasn't for this. This sure helps.
Does it have one of those big fold-out center posters?
With Queen Bee.
Nobody's home.
And here I am with you fellas.
We're privileged.
I think you're right, though. There's always that argument that beekeepers like to keep information close to their chest, and there's truth to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some of these bigger guys are like, somebody complained to me about, you put all this information on YouTube, you're giving away all the secrets. It's like bullshit. I'm not giving away any secrets. The secret is managing the business. I'm just talking about bee behavior and how I understand the craft and some of the techniques I use. You can get that at any meeting or any conversation you have with anybody else, any other beekeeper. The secret is how you use that information, how you use that understanding in a business sense and make a livelihood out of it. And that's something that you can't teach that. It's something that you have to learn yourself, or mentored by somebody else. That's what the old man's for, to help you mentor the building of your business. Otherwise you'll be a failure. So there's a lot to running a business than just how to look after bees. It's looking after money, looking after time, looking after family, looking after yourself, there's all those dynamics.
And that's where part of that art form comes in that Bob Benny talks about, you know?
Yeah. I would agree with it too, Tom. You know, absolutely, because most of the pretty much all the information I've learned was through YouTube and stuff like that, like watching Ian and Bob Benny and Brad and everybody else. It would be nice to see social media where this was carried forward over into maybe some of the government's eyes and stuff like that, where they start implementing some of the treatments. Yeah, you know, so we could actually make a few things legal. That would be nice to see that carry forward.
I don't think anybody on that side of the screen is interested in listening to what you had to say very much. That may be a little bit pessimistic, but you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's something I found out real quick. Taking care of the bees is much, much easier than selling honey.
Oh, I beg to differ.
I'd have to turn that around.
Oh, dude, I could sell twice as much honey if I could just keep my dang bees alive and manage all the harvest and all that kind of stuff. That is not an issue.
Twice as many bees and half as much work.
Alex, you just have to remember one thing. Here's the honey, give me the money, and see you later.
Well, it's starting to get better. Like I said, I managed to sell like 10 pails at once. That was pretty good.
And I want to caveat what I just said, that it's not because my honey's cheap. Ian knows my honey's the most expensive honey on the shelf. At least I try to make sure it is. So it's just build that clientele. You know, marketing. I'll tell you, marketing opportunities come up and I have to turn my head and walk away because I can't service it. All right. Because I got to keep these stupid bees alive. It's not.
They taught
Alex,
increase the market.
I stepped on somebody. Sorry.
Go ahead, Ian.
Well, I was just going to say, Todd, I watched your last video about the ants, and it reminded me of when I was, we were looking after these little wee mating nukes. I had them on a pole, so we'd have to bend over, and they weren't on the ground because the ants were overwhelming them. So I had them on a pole, and I treated the pole with ant poison to keep the bloody ants from overwhelming these little mating nukes. And I walk in the yard and hear a tree had bent over like this, and just one little leaf was touching the lid of that mating nuke. And those bloody ants are walking up the tree and down the branch, off the leaf into that mating nuke, cleaned them out. You know.
Yeah, so you know how they clean out the hive and then they abscond. They just leave because they freak out. They can't take care of it. You know, they're being bombarded. But yeah, you're right. Just a tiny speck of something touching, you know, past whatever barrier you have. For me, my problem is under my pallets, I have black widows and they have that webbing going, but you know, the breeze blows debris and leaves and twigs underneath. And so eventually the webs start, you know, bowing down. And then all it takes is a little twig to land right, you know, just right on it. And they use that as a ladder. And I've lost, I think this year was like 24 hives from ants. They're all abscons. The bottom boards were clean, pristine. They left. They left brood in the comb, everything. They just gone.
Yeah, we have Thatcher ants, and what they'll do is they'll build underneath the pallet, and then once they get onto the bottom board, if the bees, you know, if they get up on top, they'll just keep building that ant nest with pieces of grass or pieces of dirt, and they just overwhelm the nest by just building the ant nest into the bee's nest. It's just disgusting. Yeah. So I take ant poison I buy from Canadian Tire. What the heck is it? I forget what it is. There's a spray, and I spray underneath my pallets, and that seems to work pretty well for me. I got to be careful because I killed a yard over treating with ant poison one time, but if I can get underneath just properly, that seems to keep them at bay.
Yeah. See, my whole issue is I'm on an organic farm, so I can't use anything. But I did get permission to use these little I call them oil traps. They probably hold maybe a quarter cup of oil would be too much, but it's just a moat around a center post, and it's made of plastic, and inside that post is it's like a 3/4 inch or 1 inch dowel piece. And so it holds a lot of weight. So those are what's on the corner of my pallets. But as long as I keep those things, with oil in them and keep debris away from them, then I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't use Apivar. There's a lot of stuff I can't use. So.
We had a yard. It was really nice, sheltered. The guy wanted us to put bees there. He had sandpoint, and he wanted more bees to help pollinate the sandpoint. But the bush surrounding, there was all kinds of dead trees and stuff, and just full of ants. It ended up we had to move the bees out of there. They spent more time fighting ants than they did producing honey.
Yeah. They're bad. I've had a rough season anyway. My grafting went to crap because of the weather. It just kept raining every time I wanted to graft. It wouldn't rain when I'd work. When I'm at the office, it doesn't rain. But then Saturday, Sunday, forget about it. So, it was pretty difficult for me to do that. So I've got problems. I'm like what Charlie ran into about failing queens. I've been hit over the head with the failing queen stick this year. So I'm plummeting in numbers right now. I'm bleeding numbers right now. So if I can make it through winter with what I have right now, which is 37, I'm down over 50% right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So a combination of bag queens. I know there had to be some mites here and there, although I only saw one hive that I could conclude that it was a mite issue, but the rest were the ants. Hey, just hammered me.
Hey, Todd, how old are most of your queens in these colonies right now?
2 years. They're 2 and up. So, yeah. And I wanted to rotate them out this year, and I wanted to get to a every other year rotation, but I think now what I'm going to do is every year rotation. I'm not going to mess with it. So I probably won't have too much honey next year. That's a given. So but
Alex, I kind of come up with a plan to move forward here. Maybe we need to get together, and you need to teach me how to keep bees alive, and I can show you a thing or two about marketing honey. We can help each other out.
Yeah, but moving to Manitoba would be a bit of a hassle.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
I'd have to sell all my bees, pack all my stuff. Oh boy.
Brad's got a trailer out there you can live in.
Yeah, live in
right in the edge of the yard there.
Yeah, in the dead of winter in the trailer. That would be fun.
Yeah.
We'll just build a fire.
Yeah. Keep you going to keep that thing warm.
Okay.
Hey, Corey, I was going to ask you, how do you like the wax spinner you bought?
Mixed results right now. It took me a while to understand how to use it. Like the first time I tried it, I had it cranked right up thinking that I needed to run it full blast to get all the honey out of it. Okay. Well, geez, I blew all the wax right through the screen too, so it all ended up in the tank anyway. But after I slowed it down, it worked out pretty good. Is there much difference between it and, let's say, if I would have just stayed with my with the wax press itself? But probably I think it's a little bit quicker. I don't have to heat the honey out of any wax capping with it unless I choose to. But it did take it out. The cappings were fairly dry. Like if I would put it in my hand, it would just crumble out. Real good that way. But there's still some skimming involved off the tank regardless. And that was the one thing I was hoping to get away from this year because I really despise that job. But other than that, for the money you pay for it versus what you pay for a wax press, maybe it's just a case where I still got to learn how to use it a little bit better to appreciate it a little bit more yet, because it does take up a lot of space in that honey house. Like, it's a big machine yet. Yeah, so mixed emotions about it yet. There's some good and some bad with it right now, pros and cons.
Yeah, I guess you could always sell it if you don't like it.
Yeah, but I already sold the wax press.
so,
so I'm gonna learn a little bit more.
Yeah, I know a big commercial guy that uses that same Colin spinner, and he just shrugs his shoulders. Yeah, this thing works just great. So I'm sure you'll learn. You'll figure out the tricks with it.
Yeah, those knives I switch out, because I used to have the jagged edge though. That I really appreciated this year. That worked like very smooth. You commented on my video on it a little.
On the uncapper.
On the uncapper, like those cheese grater knives, that worked well. I was quite pleasantly surprised, and I'm wondering if that actually played a role with the spinner, because the cappings are so small that it would actually go through the screening more so than what the jagged edge one. But I only broke one frame with those knives this year, and out of all that, on your new comb, like especially a freshly drawn out comb, it's so white, it's so thin that it will roll with the jagged knives quite a bit. That didn't happen with these knives, with these scissor ones. Like it cleaned it all just nice, and I got all nice drawn comb ready to go for next year. So I'm pleasantly surprised with that part and pleasantly pleased.
Well, maybe there's an upgrade in the future for my old Cowan, huh? Those are the ones that some people call them cheese grater. They've actually got an oval cut out in them.
Yeah,
they don't actually have an end to it. It's a closed off piece at the top.
Yeah, and the nice thing about them is that whenever the frame enters in and it's getting pushed in by your crossbar, it goes through, like they're tapered out in such a way that the frame hardly ever jams. I think I only had one. Like I said, I only busted one frame all year. So
they come out at the top like that.
Yeah,
right?
they're tapered outward.
Frame always centers itself.
It always centers itself, and it cuts it off nice and clean. And
nice, because I have that happen a lot, where I have like you say, a nice brand new drawn, that very white and fragile comb, and it goes through there, and it just all pushes it all to the top, and you've got a piece of foundation now.
Yeah, that did a lot with the jagged knives that I had beforehand.
You had the square tooth ones?
No, it's kind of like a jagged ones, because it is the newer model.
I think mine are the originals. I don't know. They're square tooth. They're exactly square teeth.
Yeah, no. Mine's more of like you would see for cutting bread, a knife like that. That kind of jagged edge.
Okay.
But
obviously tried different kinds.
Yeah, for sure. But the cheese grater one there, it worked well. I was really pleased with that.
My thinking is Ian's phone went dead.
Yeah.
He didn't even say
like
goodbye.
To try something different.
Yeah, goodbye.
What's that, Doug?
We find we tear a lot of comb because it'll be half crystallized, a lot of it, when we go to uncap it, and it'll want to tear. Something like that might work in that better too.
Yeah,
I've heard good things. I've heard more than one person say that those, some people call them a cheese grater, kind of a knife, works really well.
Yeah, I think that saying came from Phil the Bean Man, Phil Bourgeois. I believe he started the cheese grater part because he switched over at the time, and I.
So Corey, like on my knives, it can literally have a sheet of comb come off of that into the spinner. So that cheese grater knife, there's no way that you're going to get a sheet off of that. It's all going to come out in small pieces.
All in small pieces.
Yeah, that might suit the spinner a lot better.
Yeah, and it was actually the recommendation from the guys, because that was the main reason why I went to Nobby last year, was to talk to the Cowan guys and buy and to look for the auger. and they recommended these cheese grater knives for that spinner.
Right.
And so I just went with their recommendation, and I bought the knives at the same time because there's nothing wrong with my jagged edge. You know, I got them back. I still got them here as backup, I guess,
Sure.
if I had to.
Yeah.
But I'll stick with those cheese grater ones because I was really pleased how it didn't tear all the comb apart. And I didn't wreck nearly like usually I'm wrecking 24 frames a year.
Not to put you on the spot, but what's a guy looking at for a set of knives?
I think I paid $300 US for the set.
Yeah.
You know,
not too bad.
Yeah, and they shipped it out at the same time as the auger, so I don't know what it would cost for shipping.
Yeah, Norman asked, why not just do it by hand instead of a machine? Yeah, I'm small potatoes, and I'm running 3,000 frames, so that's 6,000 sides.
Yeah.
You can use a serrated knife if you want.
Yeah.
You could use a serrated knife if you want. I don't want to do it. How many are you running, Corey? How many boxes are you running?
Oh, well, the fall I did about 800 boxes. So,
800 boxes?
Yeah.
So you're running 8,000 frames?
Yeah, that was just the fall harvest. You know, I harvest 3 times. I pull 3 times a year right now.
Right.
Mainly because I still need to get more boxes yet.
So you're running 15,000 frames in a season.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why, Norman, there's your answer.
My very first extractor was the licensed one, where it was the 20 medium frames that fit in one. And I only had 80 boxes. Well, geez, that took me 3 weeks to get through that, you know. So,
yeah.
And that was with a roller going over over and uncapping. And I said, I'll never do that again.
I learned something this year. People ask, well, why do you bother, with a hot knife or serrated knife or an uncapping machine or whatever? Why do you bother doing that? Why don't you just get a scratcher and scratch the comb? I learned why you don't want to do that. At least in this situation. I got some comb from a buddy who always just scratched for his harvest, and I was using it in my brood chambers. Well, I had a hard time actually getting it in the brood chambers because it was not uniform. It was built out wide in some places and whatnot because it was a honey frame that I was wanting to use in a brood chamber, and that was a difficulty. And I thought, aha, this is something I don't run into when I use my uncapper because it's all cut nice and perfectly uniform all the way up the frame. So that's something I learned this year.
Yeah, it comes in handy. Like the scratcher, we never really worry about it too much for our supers and that because you put it back on and the bees fix it up, But I suppose if you're doing comb honey, that would be a different story. I don't worry about that.
Philip says you can have 20 friends. They would only work 1 year and they wouldn't be friends anymore.
Yeah, 20 former friends.
Yeah.
Unless you're Bruce's bees.
I would have
Bruce's bees.
They come and harvest uncapped this honey every year.
Yeah, or Mr. Ed. Fill your honey house with people. Okay, let's extract some honey. It's like, you suck. I'm stuck in there for a month.
It only cost you a pound of honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would cost me more boxes of beer than what I would have boxes of honey.
Exactly. He could buy a bigger extractor for the price of the beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Gosh.
That's Bruce's trick, Grammy says. Yeah. That's a good trick. I don't think I have 20 friends. That's all. See, I got a cat here now.
They're all my friends are online.
Yeah, all my friends are right here.
Yeah, the virtual uncap.
I can't afford the travel cost to get you all up here. I know you all would do it, but it's not practical.
Yep, just pay for the airfare and housing and food, and I'm there.
Y'all are driving.
And he has a trailer out by the apiary.
Yeah, you're all staying in the apiary camper.
My dog.
I've been in that trailer, and I don't particularly think I'd want to sleep in it.
No, you wouldn't.
It's better than Charlie's motorhome.
Yeah, it is better than Charlie's motorhome. It don't get wet inside much when it rains.
Hey, careful, Doug. That's a luxury motorhome. It's got a full-on panoramic sunroof in it.
That's
It's
right.
got a retractable roof.
That's
Retractable
cross-flow
roof.
ventilation.
That's right.
That one.
You retract the tarp off the top and put another one back on it.
It's got a good spare. I bet you that spare holds air right there.
Yeah.
I can see it.
It's
Still got the cover on it. Never been on the ground.
I think that's for sale, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Can you read that, Brad?
Yeah, I'm reading that. So the vaporizer, yeah, let's see. This is the Instant Vap Compact. The larger model, yes, they still sell both models. This has a light, an indicator light on it. It doesn't have a display that shows temperature and stuff. I really, really like it, and it is fast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't time it, but I did do. You'll see on the vlog this weekend. I did do a real time treatment with it, and so you'll see how fast it is. It's really quite incredibly fast, especially if you stick to the 2 grams. You get into 4 grams, you got a little bit more time, but it's not too bad. I was treating my 6-frame nukes with 2 grams, and I didn't have time to step away at all. It was like you put it in there, you push the plunger down and count about 15, and then you take it out and you put it in the next one. It's crazy fast.
So what? Don't you have the regular Larabi vaporizer?
Yeah, I have the 120 volt vaporizers as well.
No, I'm talking about the bigger model of that battery operated.
The bigger model of this? No, yeah. I don't. Ian has a couple of the bigger models of this one. I think he has a compact too.
I have a bigger one as well.
Yeah, you have the bigger one. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. Now, that's some money because of these batteries, right? These batteries are not cheap. Yeah. That's a 5-amp battery, and I think I bought a 2-pack for about $250
Canadian
5-amp batteries. And yeah,
that's about 5 cents American.
Of course, I pay for things in Canadian dollars in Canada. So
I thought it'd been about 600. I think
600 Canadian.
States, yeah, I think the darn the ones I've seen like $300 per battery.
Well, even out of 5-amp. This was a little bit of a sale too. I think they were like $280 for a 2-pack of 5s. Mm-hmm. But I think they were on for $250 or something like that. So, $125 for a 5-amp battery. And I need a few of them. I need maybe four or 5 of these 5-amp batteries to get through my apiary, because I can burn through the batteries faster than I can charge them. And so that's a little bit of a problem. I'm still trying to work out that system on how I can charge these batteries while I'm doing the work. That's why I didn't go with a larger one, because they recommend a 9-amp. I have one 9-amp battery. They recommend a 9-amp or 12-amp. But if I get through a 5, for the money I get through a 5, I can put it on charge and go to another 5, right? And let that charge. So that's why I did it that way. Seems to be working okay, but I can still burn through about 3 5s before I can charge the first one.
Yeah, that'd probably be the smallest amp hour battery you'd want to use, because it does, I believe, consume about 1 or 1.5 amp hours just to get it up to temperature. Now, that would obviously need to be determined upon what ambient air temperature is at that point in time as well.
Yeah. Not as much with this one. It's insulated. The ProVap and stuff aren't insulated, so they're highly subject to ambient temperature and wind. Yeah. With 4 grams, I was getting about a 0.5 amp per treatment. So on a 5 amp, I get about 10 treatments. In there. Nothing exact, but in that range.
It's your first round that you don't get as many because it takes that 1 amp to heat it up.
Yeah.
Once it's heated,
that's what I say after it heats up. Like
yeah,
when I was doing the treatments. But you're right. It does take that much power to heat it up. And
Brad,
then,
I think that the other unit that's like that little Robbie has, which is their full size battery powered unit, the one that's behind you, which is their compact. I have both of them, and the compact is faster. Sometimes I'll use the two of them. I'll get both of them warmed up, and I'll just go one to the other. But I noticed with the compact, like you said, I'm running 4 grams because I'm a double brood box. It's by the time I start popping lids in front of myself, I can quickly then move once I pop a lid or enter cover, to do a quick check or throw some towels in front of it to, as I'm moving down the line. That I believe that compact unit is a little bit faster than their other one. Again, I'm talking battery powered.
I wonder if the I don't know. I wonder if the display module or something takes a little more.
It's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Thanks for that.
I do like the
observation.
Yeah, I do like the compact unit a little bit better because there's less of that weight hanging further out.
Right.
Because sometimes, depending on your entrance reducer or not, it may not fit as. You may only have 3/8 of an inch of that tube hanging inside the box, so there may not be much grabbing on.
Yeah. I'm going to be reworking my reducers. My entrance on my hive is about 11 inches, pretty well exactly 11 inches, and I have a 9-inch reducer. So the space is about 3, and that's not quite enough for the arms of the instant vap to go in there. So I'm going to be reworking all my reducers to fit the instant vap perfectly. And I thought I'd actually go one step further and whittle a piece of wood that would go on the instant vap itself to fill in the gap between those two arms. So you got the two arms that go in there, and then in the center you got the tube, right? But there's a space then between the arms and the tube where the vapor can come out and the bees can come out. So I thought, you know what, I just get a little piece of wood that just sits right in there, just wedges right into the instant vap and stays in there. So when I push it in the space between the entrance reducer and the side of the hive, it'll pretty well close that off.
Yeah. Do you see many bees trying to fly out when you stick that in there? It seems like it happens so quickly they don't have much time to escape.
I see less bees coming out than I did when I used the ProVap or the Larabi's 120 volt.
Yeah.
Because, well, I wasn't using the entrance, first of all, so they could have a clear exit. But, yeah, not that many, but some.
Yeah.
Are they suspended in midair, Brad? Like, I'm trying to look at the picture behind you in your virtual screen. Is it suspended in the air or is it sitting on the ground?
It's not sitting on anything. So what it is, so Ian says it's not insulated. The old used insulated, which was a problem because it got wet. They quit working efficiently. I thought it was insulated, but I guess just dead airspace is just as good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not sitting on anything, Corey. At the front, there's the tube that goes in the hive, and then on each side, there's little teeth that kind of stick in. You can just stick it right under the box. And so the bottom of the burn chamber kind of sits on the bottom board, and these little teeth sit right in under the box, and then the tube sits in the middle. So quite often it kind of sits wedged up against the tube and whatnot. So it's actually pretty nicely designed the way he's got that made. If you can get it in there just right, it sits in there just perfectly. You don't have to hold on to it at all, which is really nice.
Yeah. He made a few improvements from the full-size unit to that compact as well. I don't know if you've seen it, Brad, but there are longer on the compact, those small, I'm going to call them like a tang or a little...
Yeah, a little tooth.
A little tooth, that's right. those are a little bit longer and a little more pronounced. So it's got a better, when you tip it in there, it's got a better grab.
Yeah, I think he learned that as a design change. As I recall, Ian actually made some add-on pieces for his instant vap. What do you call the one that's not the compact? The instant vap original.
I just said the full-size unit, but
the big school bus unit. He actually put some bigger pieces in there that gave it longer teeth. Yeah,
you're saying right here,
very small.
Right here, he added those on, I believe. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the video that he had posted. I believe, maybe I could be mistaken. Was that last year?
It was a little while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He added those. He cut it. I think they have access to a laser cutter or something, water jet or something. They just cut out pieces and pop riveted those on the side, I believe.
When you put a bigger battery hanging off the back here, there's definitely a lot more weight cantilevering on this tube right here.
Yeah.
So luckily that's a pretty stout position and it's not a little flimsy tube. I know it's difficult to see here, but
it's a much bigger and stronger tube than any of the, and it's replaceable. You can screw that thing off of there, and if you damage it,
it's threaded. So
and the mini, I call it a mini, the compact. Like you see that one, it kind of is beveled at the front, back like that.
Oh, the one that's small.
No, yours right there. So it's from the tooth where that tooth is, it bevels down. Where the compact, the bottom of the bowl actually sits on the bottom board.
Yeah.
And then the tooth sits under the box. So if you get it just right, it's not really levering on the tube at all. It's between the teeth and the bottom of the burn bowl.
I call my tube compact as well.
Really? Thanks for chiming in on that, Bob.
Now, Brad, are you talking about when there's an entrance reducer in or there's no entrance reducer? Are you noticing that it's not putting pressure on it?
Well, it doesn't really matter if I have my reducer because it's just a 3/4 entrance, right? Yeah. So I'll have a 3/4 inch high entrance, whatever width of the vaporizer.
Does it also reduce the entrance reducer? Does it reduce down to a 3/8 tall?
I don't use that kind of reducer.
Okay, I guess that's where I'm thinking.
It blocks part of the entrance. That's all it does.
Well, when you reduce it down to the 3/8, it does still put pressure in there.
It would, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use my reducers. Mine are so simple. They're just a little wedge, and I get to decide how long it is. I got whack it into the hole, and it's so what's left is still a 3/4 entrance.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. With this one, there's the longer.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see how that bottom is flat, and it sits right on the bottom board, right on the entrance, while those little teeth go in under the box.
You can kind of see it there. There's this one is much more pronounced.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the one I'll go with when I have to replace my ProVap.
Yeah, I'm totally in love with that thing.
Well, I didn't really read the research. Obviously us guys aren't as good about reading the pamphlets. We just kind of trial by fire, right? But it appears to me that the compact is definitely much faster at expelling it. I was waiting on my other one. I'm going to say maybe 30 seconds or so. That's on a 4-gram dose, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the new one, I don't think it's hardly in there for 20 seconds because I'm immediately pulling it out, packing another one. I keep
slightly less money too.
That's right. $50 less. I use 2 of these.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one for the other one. So I'm constantly packing one, throwing the other one in. As soon as that light goes steady, I'm immediately throwing it in there and going to the next one.
I'm getting another plunger.
Yes.
So that I can have one loaded, and because boy, it's fast. You pull it out of there, that light goes solid, yank it out, stick it in the next one, yank the plunger, stick the next plunger, and then go load it. Because when the time, I want me to be the time consumer, right?
That's right.
I want the machine to work as fast as I can work.
Yep.
and then it pushes me to work fast. But I don't want to be standing around watching that light, waiting for that light, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be standing around for that. That's the part that just blows me away.
I'm the same way. Once I hyper focus on something, I will get into a mode where I'm really trying to work very quickly, and I may have an hour to do it, but if I can get it done and as fast as I can, then it's gain time for me, you know?
Yeah. That's exactly what I think is I want to be the determining factor is how fast things go.
Yeah.
Not the machine. I want the machine to work as fast as I can work.
Well,
which isn't very fast, really.
Yeah. You're not asking for much, then.
I'm not asking for much. The bar is not very high.
Well, you know, when you think about it, when you're spending what I would consider professional money, and $500 is, in my opinion, it's professional money. You want that thing to work pretty flawlessly, and even every little detail on it, whether it's coming from the little tabs here to how quickly it expels it.
Oh yeah,
you're going to scrutinize every aspect of that.
Yep.
So I agree.
And you know what? The price of that thing, the price of all these things, the ProVap. I bought my ProVap when they first came here, and whatnot. I've bought Larrabee's, and I didn't actually buy this one, but don't tell anybody I'm going to buy another one.
Yeah, I need to call Mike up and see if I can get that deal.
But my point is, that vaporizer doesn't cost me anything. Okay, because if it's, I forget what the price was, but around one round of Apivar, if it worked in my apiary, is $900. One round of Formic Pro in my apiary is $900.
Yeah.
A brand new vaporizer is $600. Right? So I can buy myself a brand new Instant Vap compact every time I treat my bees for mites.
Yep.
Where I would otherwise use Apivar or Formic Pro or any other treatment, with that mite. So the vaporizer doesn't, people, and I get it. If somebody's got 50 colonies, that's a different story, right? They say, well, that vaporizer costs a lot of money. Well, it does. But in a certain context, it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Because the cost of the acid is nothing.
Yeah. I still think for 50 colonies, I still think it's a win, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sure it is.
$500 for 50 colonies.
I have 30 colonies, and I think it's worth it.
Exactly.
Well, sure. I mean, it depends on, maybe you have more time. Maybe you're retired. You have more time than you have money coming in. Maybe that's a different story. But if you're short on time because you're working 12 hours a day and you have 2 hours in the evening to treat bees, then the $500, in my opinion, would be worth the investment on 50 colonies.
Right. Because I'm saving, buying this, I'm saving $400 over Apivar or Formic Pro. Now I got to do this 4 times, 4 days apart, and that whole thing. So that's time, and that's what I'm paying. I'm not paying to treat. I'm not paying for treatments. I'm not paying for equipment. I'm paying in time, is what I'm paying, which is a problem, right? Sometimes, especially in a month like September.
Sure.
But after the first, I treat half of my apiary with this vaporizer. It's paid for. So then the other half of my apiary is free. And the next 3 treatments of those bees are free that fall. And then next year, if the thing doesn't break down and have to be replaced, all of my treatments with OA are free, right? So this is where it pays for itself. This is just my brain, how I'm, thinking.
You haven't calculated your battery into that free.
Well, I haven't calculated the battery. I'm thinking more of ProVap or the Larrabee's 120 volt. You're right, Doug. I haven't calculated that into free because the battery is not, you can only charge and discharge these things so often or so many times, right? So you have to replace that. So you're right. You're right. Because there's $1,000 worth of batteries in play.
Are they the same batteries you use in your power tools?
Absolutely.
So, well, You got to have them for them anyways.
Well, absolutely.
That's what I do.
Trimmer, my string trimmer I use in my apiary, that's the battery. The leaf blower I use at harvest time, all of my drills, my screw guns, my circular saw, the same battery. So you're right, I have the batteries. However, the point is you can only charge and discharge these batteries so many times before they're junk, and it costs you in battery is what the cost is. Otherwise, it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah.
Well, there's also to get those solid state batteries working, because that will solve a lot of problems.
Those nuclear diamond nuclear batteries. Read about those, but let's not go down that rabbit hole. What are you going to say, Tom?
Graphene batteries.
So, are all you guys treating from the front? Because I treat from the back. I just drilled a hole.
Oh, I treat from the front.
Well, I normally treat through the side of the box. However, the way this little thing works, I thought, I'm going to try this entrance thing. Well, that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
it's so easy. Yeah. You just click the thing right in the entrance, and it's so solid and fits so well that I wouldn't bother.
No, I do it from the front too, Mike. What I like about doing it from the front is that even with the ProVaps, the 110s, they have like where the bowl is, there's like a little platform. So you just basically sit it in, and there's no pressure on that little tube. So, like I haven't broken a tube yet. I've plugged a few, but I've never broken one.
Now, do you have landing boards?
Yeah, I have a landing board. Yeah.
Now, Brad, you don't have landing boards, right?
Just a 3/4 inch landing board, but this would fit it anyway because the bowl is flat on the bottom.
That's different because I'm running
it would take quite a long landing board. Ronald, you're new. Welcome. Thanks for dropping in.
Hi everyone. I know I'm here in the small island American Samoa, territory of the United States of America.
Oh, very
I'm a
nice.
public school teacher. I think many of you are Americans, right?
There's Americans and Canadians here. Yeah.
Oh, Canadian. Oh, sorry.
50-50 Canadian and American.
Yeah.
Canadian
I'm
American.
Canadian. Let's see. Alex is Canadian.
Okay.
Corey is Canadian.
Okay.
Doug is Canadian.
Doug is Canadian.
Bob wants to be Canadian.
I want to be Canadian.
Well, Doug is in Quebec.
I was going to say that too.
Alex is in Quebec. So just to simplify, we'll say he's Canadian.
Okay. Probably I look like a Canadian now. So when I see the live, it's like very interesting. A couple of men that talking about something, and I just jump in. I'm a monetized channel too, but now I'm a Canadian now.
Oh, you're Canadian.
I'm just kidding.
You have a very nice house behind you there. That's very nice.
That one is just a scripted screen background.
I recognize that piano.
It's a popular one.
Piano there. Okay.
There we
So
go.
what you guys up to? Talking about the bees? I think.
We are beekeepers, and we're talking about bees. That's what we do. We keep
American Samoa is surrounded by waters.
Yes.
It's only, I think, 50 to 90,000 people around this area.
Are there very many
this
beekeepers
is one of the
there?
Yeah. Like but Canada is a cold area, right?
Oh, sometimes summertime it's quite warm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I heard there's a lot of Filipino in Canada too.
Lots of Filipinos. I know.
So do you love Filipino workers or businessmen in Canada?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we got quite a few different migrant workers here.
My sister-in-law is a Filipino girl.
Oh wow!
Yeah. One of my very good friends is. I see him all the time. He's a very good Filipino man.
You know, as Filipinos, we are all over the world.
Yes.
Like anywhere, because we're looking for greener pastures. You know, our salary in the Philippines is very low.
Yep.
That's why we go to Canada, we go to the US, we go to the Europe.
City where I live here was one of the very first Filipino settlements in Canada. The Filipinos in Winnipeg go back many decades.
Oh wow!
Many decades. Very, very large Filipino population, Winnipeg.
That's
And there's a
interesting.
lot of NBA Canadian now, right? The one that I love is the one playing at Nuggets with Jokic. I forgot the name.
Sorry?
Remember
I missed
Canadian NBA player?
Are you talking about sports?
I'm talking about NBA that
NBA.
went to
I don't know anything
the
about sports.
States. Mostly they are Canadian.
Okay. You'll
He's
talk
from
to somebody else
Canada.
about sports.
Ronald, he's from Canada. He doesn't even know about hockey. So
NBA is not Canada.
I'm so sorry.
I know that.
I'm out of
In fairness, the Canadian hockey players flood Europe too.
Oh, I think I asked the wrong question in the wrong group.
Well, maybe not. I'm strange. I don't know sports. I don't do sports. So
Okay.
You should have asked him about the NHL. That's more Canadian.
I know what that is.
Yeah.
You've heard of that before.
I know
Okay.
NBA is in Canada. I know that.
If you're Filipino, you're into basketball.
You know Manny Pacquiao? Manny Pacquiao, the boxer?
Yeah.
Oh, Bob's got to check out. So
Yeah, I got to check
okay.
out. I got to get up
Coming in, Bob.
early in the morning.
Appreciate that.
Good, Bob. Nice seeing you.
Talk to you guys later.
Bob.
Care.
Yeah,
Good
take
night,
care,
Bob.
Bob.
I'm gonna leave it streaming
Take
on my
care, Bob.
channel.
All right.
Good
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So you're a school teacher, Ronald. How? What age of students are you teaching?
I'm teaching trades, computer-aided design, because I went to the trade school. Yes. I've been
Very
teaching
good.
for what, 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an important job, my friend. There's hardly a job more important than teaching.
Planning to retire in 2042 in 16 years' time.
Wow.
It's a long years to go.
You're so young.
Make sure you guys are still alive during the time.
I'm
just kidding. Can I ask Brad, the bee man at Fate Apiary, how
Yes,
old
sir.
are you? Just if you don't mind.
Oh my goodness, you're going to ask me how old I am. I'm
There were
58 years old.
dinosaurs when he was born.
Oh, wow. So let me guess. You're around 45? Oh, you're young, babe.
Me?
Just kidding, yes.
I'm 58 years old.
Oh, I'm 47, turning 48. How about dog? Longman, Apiary. Yes.
I come over on the Mayflower.
Yeah.
The Mayflower from my ancient grand ancestors. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but he was in swaddling clothes.
Yeah.
So you don't want to reveal your age? Around 60, 50s? I don't know.
Oh, I keep going.
That's okay.
51. I make you younger then, I think.
You gotta go higher than that.
Sorry to say, around 70s.
A little higher yet.
Oh, higher. 75, 78.
Yeah, you got me there.
Oh, okay, 78. My dad passed away at 78. Sorry to say, but it was last May. It is life is too short. How about Big Mike's row honey?
I'm 61.
Oh, that's a straight answer there. How about Tom? Tom is around 50s.
You think I'm around 50s?
No, I think 40. Sorry.
Hey, Ronald, you're not going to offend me, so you know what? Knock yourself out.
I'm sorry. Okay. That's good to hear. So Tom, you're around, I don't know. So you don't. Okay.
I'm actually late 40s.
Oh, late 40s. So I think we're almost the same age. How about Corey Nature's Sweet Bees? Your name are really sweet.
Oh, thanks. I'm in my 6th decade of life.
Oh, so most of here are retired already. I love to retire. I hope I'm 62 already.
Well, semi-retired, maybe.
Or never retired.
How about long range bees? Oh, there's an old bees.
Oh, I'm 47.
Oh, we're on the same age. How about Sawmill? Thank you, long range bees and the rest. How about Sawmill Charles V Farm. Oh, you guys have an old farming?
I'm in
Sawmill
60.
Charlie just
60.
turned 30. He just turned 30 yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
wow.
I wish.
So
For
young.
the third time.
Is it times 2, times 3? Just kidding. Thank you so much. How about Todd? Todd, bcompany.com.
I'm 27 and independently wealthy.
There you go.
Oh, wow. I love the wealthy one. I don't mind about the age. About the wealthy, that's you got everything there.
The next question he wants to ask is what your guys' social security number is.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. No one will say that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Alex don't even have one, I don't think.
Yeah, that's kind of where it ends, right?
We don't have to reveal here because there's a lot of hackers around there.
yeah,
I think.
Sure.
I have another questions for us to answer. Everyone, we're just temporal in this earth, right? What if this is just saying, what if we die today? We're gonna go heaven or hell? If you don't want to answer it, that's fine. If you want to answer it, that's fine too.
I'm going to take a pass on that.
I think that's an important question for a person to ponder, and I think it's a good question, for everybody to ask themselves. I think it's should be how I feel about that, but being the topic of the evening and the chat that we have going here, I think we're gonna kind of leave everybody to consider that within themselves.
There you go.
Tonight, I mean, I would agree that there's no more important question in life than that. But I'll leave it at that. And I appreciate you being the type of person who would ask people that, Ronald. Because it is a very important question. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I do mention that on my channel from time to time, and there was someone in the comments that said it on my channel one day. I imagine it was a he. The name looked like a he name. He said it seems like from the name of your channel and whatnot, you're probably a Christian person, but you don't talk about God and Jesus and salvation much. And I just replied, you haven't been watching my channel very long, have you? Because it definitely comes up. So we'll just leave it at that. And 22 minutes after 2 hours, I think it's probably time to wrap up this chat.
By the way, can I say only maybe 2-3 minutes, just to take time about that question. We are temporal in this earth.
We are,
and we are just pass by in this earth. And the most important thing is, as long as you have the faith in God, we're all okay, because everyone's still progressing about the progress of our life. Life's still okay. And as long as you have the faith in God, Jesus, I think we're pretty much great in doing what we're supposed to do. That's the only thing I can share.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Thanks, Ronald. Appreciate that. So do we have any more bee things to discuss this evening?
Not really.
I have one question for you, Brad, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
And maybe, I don't know, Ian was a little more vocal about it before, and he mentioned something about on this queens that you get in, having some VSH stock, so some Varroa sensitive hygienic stock. Are you all able to receive queens coming out of the U.S. at this point anymore, or is that still at a work in progress?
Certain areas? Yes.
Certain areas.
We always have. Yes.
Oh, you have? Okay.
That's never been banned completely. No.
I did not know that. I made the assumption based upon information that I heard that I thought that you could no longer receive queens out of the U.S. So I was mistaken.
It's never been an outright ban. There definitely is controls to avoid Africanized genes.
Yeah.
That's really what's, obviously we're concerned about hive beetle because that's not endemic in Canada wide yet. Things like that, but Africanized genes really are the biggest control. So sellers like Ray Oliveras and whatnot, they are outside of those areas, so they can export to Canada. It's a rigorous system though. It's tenuous. They have to really be careful.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with vetting those sort of things. I think that's okay. Sometimes those progress wheels, when it comes to the government of anything, tend to be very slow, and sometimes they're not in everyone's best interest. But I think a vetting process is always good. I think that's probably why we're in the predicament we're in. How all these pests jump from continent to continent so easily. We have shipping and that takes place from every continent. Back and forth with the world commerce and all. So those sort of things can happen, and they will happen over time, right? So I did not realize that though. So I was kind of curious. I didn't know where you all had gotten some of. Well,
you're right, and once you can't shut it off. Once a pest is endemic, there's no go back on that. So you only have one chance, and I think you have to be pretty careful. We are always on the government to make sure that their reasons for keeping things closed or keeping regulations the way they are current, making sure their risk assessments are current. We are going through actually one of those right now. And, we're wanting to make sure that there are current, very good reasons to not allow certain things to happen. And so, you're right. Government wheels do turn slowly. We've been at this for a couple of years with them, but it is moving. Yeah. And we're very thankful for that. So, because Canada's in a tough spot for bees. We have a bad winter countrywide. There's not enough bees in our country.
Yeah. You guys definitely have the most stressors than all of us do. Your bees can't fly for 5 months. I'm here in the Midwest, halfway between the Canadian border and the southern region. And mine generally get several fly days, and then amongst the wintertime, it may be a month, they may be locked in, maybe a month and a half, but by and large, mine don't have to be cooped up for 5 months. That's a long time to
and it comes down to stock replacement too. Canada is in a tough spot that we can't really make very much stock to replace losses, right? So if we have heavy losses in the winter, and don't overestimate it. Winter is long here, but I don't think our winter losses need be a lot higher than a lot of places. Because we have advantages that you don't have. We have that winter-long brood break. We have that winter-long no flying, no brooding. We don't have to feed them all winter. There's so many advantages we have. Winter is very good for the Varroa populations, good for the bees, not
and
Varroa,
small hive beetles.
Right, small hive beetles,
completely in check, I think.
All kinds of things like that. However, when we do have losses, because we have such a compressed season, it's really difficult to make those numbers back again en masse, right? Yeah. To have an operation that's the size that you can shake thousands of packages, like tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of packages, that just doesn't happen in Canada, right?
You need a longer growing season for that.
Yeah.
BC is coming online more with that.
BC is getting a little more into that, yeah. But still, nothing like Northern California, right? They will never produce like California for packages.
That's right.
So I think we could do more. You're right, Doug. I think we could do more with what we have with Okanagan and Lower Mainland and whatnot. They have some very favorable conditions for that sort of thing. But I don't think Canada has the ability to produce kind of what Canada could use for bees.
Yeah. Well, like you said, there's pros and cons. You'll have your limitations, and it is what it is.
Norman says to find the source of a problem, simply follow the money trail. Yeah, look at the price of honey. Every time the price of honey goes up, the number of bee colonies increases. It's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's not always some evil entity at the top. Sometimes it's farmers actually trying to make a living, right?
I have a question regarding the industry of the Canada.
Yes,
when it
sir.
comes to farming and other technology that you guys have. So from the richest countries like the United States or Europe, do you think where's Canada falls on? Are you guys on the top already, or I don't know? Or how? And plus, additional question
I don't know that you're going to get good information on this live
Yeah.
stream.
I'm just curious about. I'm just curious about that.
Really,
yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think you're on the wrong form for that kind of.
regarding about the farm and exporting about the bee. So you guys exporting also or importing those products? Just asking, just to connect to your topic, I guess.
Well, Canada imports bees.
Oh wow! So
Canada.
Okay.
Canada.
So you guys are also good on farming about different milk or cows,
Canada
or exporting produces.
Canada produces a lot of food for the world.
Oh wow!
Like, I mean, a lot of food for the world.
So that's why you guys are industrious or rich country, I guess.
I don't know if we classify ourselves as that.
Say rich, particularly what's been going on the last 9 years. But let's, I can appreciate your interest in Canada. I don't think it's the right forum for good information for you in that regard. I just don't.
But regarding about what I hear from you guys is you guys are talking about farming, right?
Bee farming.
Yeah.
Bee farming.
That's right.
Because we also have
farming.
We also have bee farming in the Philippines, where it really needs procedures and focus on how to produce bees. And I have a friend also in the bee company business. They are really studying about the bees and how how the bees really produce honey. And for sure, you guys knows all of those things, right?
Well, we know how bees produce honey for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you for letting me in, even though I'm a public school teacher and you guys are into, I think, honey business. And I appreciate all of you guys.
Okay.
Anyway, have a good night, good afternoon, good morning.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You have a good night.
Good night.
So, Brad, I went to it's called the Big E. It's a big fair down in Massachusetts. It's like 17 days long. They have 1.5 million people go through during the course of those days. And I was down there and I was talking to somebody selling honey from Florida. They had this magical honey. Oh my God. She was telling me all the things that would help and this and that. It was, I want to say it was $25 a pound. And I said,
that's Charlie's honey.
And
basswood honey.
She tells me that
did it cure cancer?
This honey is the same honey they feed the queen. I said, really? I said, I would think the royal jelly and stuff would kind of cloud it. She had no idea that even what she was just reading off her vouchers and stuff. She had a list about this long on the computer of things that would help.
Yeah.
I said, you're giving out bad information.
Here's a question for you guys. I saw something on a video that I didn't really think, you see videos and documentaries and stuff, and it's like, that's not how it works, right? But they said something on this video, and I kind of thought, that's not how well, maybe. What do the nurse bees feed the queen? I'm talking a laying queen, a mated laying queen.
Isn't it royal jelly?
What do they feed the queen? Mike says royal jelly. What do the rest of you guys say?
I honestly don't know.
Don't know. I don't know.
Bee spit.
Bee spit.
Royal jelly, in other words.
I think she said royal jelly her entire life.
Okay.
Because what else would honey wouldn't give her enough.
That
I
kind
don't
of makes
know for
sense. I
sure,
never
but that's
really
what
thought
I-
about it. What do you? Does
That's
anybody
what I
else have
kinda
an
think
have an
it is.
idea?
That was my assumption too. Obviously, royal jelly is a superfood.
Yeah, because what else would give her enough nutrients to lay all those eggs?
I don't know.
Because it wouldn't be honey or nectar.
But she
I
will eat
guess
honey.
I never really thought about it.
She will eat honey when she hatches out of the.
Right.
Yeah.
See, that's what I thought, Doug, and but
You say all that, but then whenever they're shipped into us, or whenever we put them in with candy,
it's candy.
So there's a
But
fair
the
amount.
bees are, and they usually.
Is that why they have attendants?
Must be.
So that then
Could
they
be.
can produce royal jelly to feed.
I
the
think she can eat honey if she has to feed herself.
Yeah.
But there's usually attendants, and when they do them without attendants, it's usually a box of bees with them, with fondant in them. At least the ones I get.
Because royal jelly kind of makes sense because you need a lot of protein to make those eggs.
That's right.
Well, that's what Ed's saying, and I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
And royal jelly is high protein. Obviously.
You would probably have little bits of protein inside of honey, right? Maybe even little bits of protein in nectar, but probably not enough to sustain.
According to Wikipedia, it says it's royal jelly.
Well, if it's Wikipedia, it's got to be true, right? So that solves it right there.
Well, there goes that fun conversation.
Way to go, Melissa.
Thanks, Melissa. Well, we might as well end the stream.
He was trying to stimulate thought here, not Wikipedia.
No, you know what? It was one of those things on this documentary.
Well, that's
not
that's
right.
why when she was telling me,
It is.
that's why when she was telling me they extract it from what they feed the queens, I'm like, how are you gonna do that? Get a house bee or a nurse bee to spit it into your honey jar?
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't do that. You have to take that from a developing queen larva.
Yeah, I've seen a video where they harvest.
Yeah. I had
royal
actually
jelly.
this documentary. This
like
guy had
a
a whole,
double row
he had
of
that
queens.
all things, and then he actually had a little vacuum cleaner. He just went each cell. He just sucked it out of each cell with this little vacuum thing. It was really cool. Not the little spoon like you see the guy sitting on the ground with no shoes, right?
So, Brad, it sounds like you've been having fun with your hive lifter in the arms.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you just rub some salt in that wound?
So, when I ordered mine, he wanted to know if I was going to do it from the side or the back.
Yeah,
I
he needs to
said
know how
probably
long, what the spacing is.
Probably from both. So mine using it from the back, those arms aren't really long enough, so they want to tip forward when you pick them up.
Yeah.
From the sides, it's good, except for he drilled my holes for my boxes for American from the back and for your hives on the side. So it's way too wide. So I have to pull the pin out of one and cheat it over and just run it without a pin.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's go back to feeding these bees again, Brad. When you're making a queen, they feed royal jelly.
Yes.
So what do they feed the other bees then?
They feed them royal jelly the first batch.
And that's what you listen to Randy Oliver. He never says royal jelly. He says jelly. He never uses a prefix to it. He says jelly. However, there's a difference. Queen jelly and worker jelly are different. Actually, the jelly that the worker gets changes throughout its age for the few days that it's a larva. So that's a neat trick, isn't it? The composition of that jelly changes. So that nurse bee visits that cell with the larvae and it goes, "How old are you?" and then makes a special recipe.
Yeah. Would the volume of the amount of jelly make a difference? That's what I was always under the impression. Like a queen will get so much more extra royal jelly versus what a ordinary worker or a drone would get.
I think the worker, the first day, it gets the same thing as a queen, and then it's changed after that day.
Okay.
Well, I think it gives it the
they
boost.
Don't change until about day 4 or something, do they?
I think
because it's the same larva. It's the same larva for the first.
Yeah.
Yes,
days.
but it's in a different orientation.
Yeah.
Usually.
Well, something I noticed in nature is that it's super conservative with resources, except for where reproduction is needed. Then nature splurges out.
Yep. Yep. All of the pollen that'll never get used for reproduction. All of the drones that'll never reproduce. That sort of thing. All of the eggs that never develop and get cannibalized. Right.
So on my hive lifter, Brad, I also went to some 8 frames this year. Well, that thing will not go in far enough for an 8 frame behind the. Yeah. So I had to take all them off, but with from the sides.
Yeah, it's too bad that you can't come up with something that's a little more adjustable that way. You'd think you could come up with something that you can screw it down and move that flapper.
Mine has drilled pins.
Yeah, I was going to drill mine too, because it's just got the screws and boy, you got to really crank those so that they don't slide on you.
Yeah.
Put a bolt in with a wrench.
Yeah. I thought put a screw, like a screw system in the end with a nut that's fixed in the arm in the lifter part, so that you can turn the bolt on the end and it just kind of move those arms in and out, and it's a positive lock at all times.
Put a spring in between.
Well,
if there's a threaded rod and you have a spring, it would give it tension to push out, and you could just screw them in if you had to, or let them back out.
Something in there. Because I'm having trouble with mine.
I didn't have mine a week, and I backed over it. I was real.
And those arms are way too thin. They bend really easily, and it should be a piece of, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch tube or something that's going to be rigid there, so that when it picks up the load, it doesn't splay out. Not a 1/4 inch, it's a 1/4 by 1.25 inches or something, piece of stainless flat sheet that sticks out there, and
it does bend easy.
I can banana those things easy. Like, they're not hard to fix when you bend them. You just grab it and you just bend it back. But that's way too easy.
On our cranes, they're about a 1/4 inch by about 1.5 inches, and they're of some grade of aluminum, and never bent them.
So you don't bend those?
No.
Because these are stainless. These are a piece of stainless. It's nice material that he used for stainless, but they bend real easy.
So, Brad, yesterday I drove down to Maxon and spent an hour and a half down there.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to make you hive tools.
Yeah.
They had one there. I tried to buy it. He says, "Nope, that's ours."
It's the museum piece. The last hive tool.
Eye candy.
So
what do they say? Like, what's?
He said what happened was, the Chinese cut
Well,
them.
of course.
He says, and the reason they bend, there's a stainless. This was tool steel. He says,
Fine.
and he said, yeah, but the tool steel company doubled their price.
Okay.
The one company that made whatever they were buying, and then it doubled again, so they couldn't even think of competing. I said, you know, he goes, yeah. He says, we have a lot of requests for them, but
I think that's a supposition on their part. Give me a price, then we'll talk.
So I went in because I bought
I might just have to be a lot more careful with whether I lose them or not.
Well, I still have one to send you. I'll give you mine.
But, well, Mike, you don't need to send me one. I don't know. I'm going to try and get some made or something.
But
using those other things it's like grabbing a knife in the wrong end.
I went down there because I bought a wax melter, a used one that was missing the base that went over the burner, so you could put a bucket in there if you wanted to warm it up or stuff. And I also wanted to get like your thing for the slum gum that you push in.
Yeah.
So they got one there. I said, how much is that? Well, that's a prototype. I said, what do you mean? He says, we don't make one. We've made two. This is one and one's in Pennsylvania.
We'll make a third one. That's production.
He goes to me, he says, well, we can make you one. I said, no, I want that one. I said, I'm injured right now. I can't work. I want to melt wax.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I don't know. It would probably be expensive. It'd be like $200. I said, here's the cash. He didn't want to sell it at all.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. It's home.
Good for you. Good for you.
It's a prototype. It's kind of fancy.
Well, I'm going to say good night, guys.
I think we better shut it down. We're 2 hours and 45. So I appreciate everybody coming in tonight. I really do. I had a really good time. Very good conversation. Got a little weird at some places, but we all survived just fine. I appreciate everybody's patience. Thanks everybody in the chat.
We'll see you guys
Conversation
later.
off to the side, and I guess Charlie's not here, so I can't get him to plug his Friday night chat. But I guess Charlie's on Friday night. And what else is going on, Todd? What other chats are going on? Wednesday, Thursday.
Tomorrow night is the stream team. Thursday night is Ricky's Horizontal Bees.
Yep.
And then Charlie. And then Saturday is Joey. And Sunday's Tim and Ed.
Right on. Okay. Okay, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good night. And
thanks for the invite, Brad.
Yeah.
See ya.